We are. You can mute your mic if you want, but we are live. Let me get a little bit of music going here. Where are we? We are a little mood music. Here we go. I'll keep it low. All right. Now let me try the tweet and see if it works. What's up, guys? Let people pile in here. There it is. It still says Saturday Night Crypto. God. All right, whatever. I guess it doesn't update for a while. Now all the crypto people are going to be like, what the heck is this game thing all about?
It'll be fun, I promise. I have no idea what to talk about for cryptos. So, I tried sitting down on one of the streams and learning what you had to offer, and I was just like, this is too much. I'm just going to back out of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there, but I started out, when I first started doing those streams, I started out a little bit more 101, like, can you explain to me how the blockchain works and stuff? And now I have, like, more seasoned people who want specific content, so it's a little bit more advanced now, but maybe I'll go back and do, like, a 101 stream again, just for the benefit of, like, the new folks who are, because you're not the first person who said that.
It just feels like one of those things where if you weren't at the beginning, you just got so far behind on the race there. It's just like, oh,
totally.
Wish I would have joined the bandwagon when I first started. You know, there was so much early investment you could have done.
Well, I wouldn't say so. As far as investment goes, that's definitely not the case. It's super young and is still the Wild West and hasn't even like taken off yet. But as far as the knowledge that I'm kind of spewing out on my streams, you kind of needed to be there from the beginning unless I go back. But like all of 2016 and 2015, I kept saying I missed the boat. Every time I looked, I'm just like, oh, it's too late, it's too late, it's already just gone so far. And after the third time that I said I've missed the boat, I just jumped in and said I'm not going to say it a fourth time. And, you know, that's when Bitcoin went from 5,000 to 20,000. And of course, it came all the way back down to like 6,000 this year, but it does that every year. And, you know, it's very well positioned to make another run, you know, either later this year or early next year. That's just Bitcoin, but the other technologies and the other crypto technologies are just so far along now. And they're just doing such crazy things. Anyways, what's up, Lisolette32? Looks like I am in the right place. You are in the right place. We got ThanatosNoa here, ex-community manager for Play Duelist. He was the man. In fact, Duelist Duelist has a community manager right now, but not an active one, so Thanatos is like the best we got as far as the Duelist community goes. What's up, Norinator?
It's very, very kind of you guys. Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure Stormshade is busy with a ton of other projects. Some stuff I can't mention, but yeah. He's definitely a senior community manager and a manager of managers. So Duelist is not his one and only project like it was for me when I was doing Duelist stuff. Like that was 100% Duelist. So it was great for me to sit down and be able to do this type, but that was like the only thing on my plate. He's got a lot more stuff. So.
Yeah, I messaged him on the Duelist forums and just said, hey, any chance that you're going to be have any bandwidth to do some of those top 50 lists and anything? And he said, not at the time, but he's looking for somebody to kind of be the community manager for Duelist. He said he was looking for somebody, which is a good sign. But that position has not been hired yet. And yeah, he's running multiple projects and can't dedicate all of his time to one. Especially not with the audience size that Duelist has relative to, I'm sure, some of the other projects he works on. But maybe in the future, he is going to be at PAX this year, and I'm going to say hi to him. Are you going to PAX, Thanatos? I think you're not going this year, right?
Yeah, no, not this year. Gotta save some money. I'm planning on doing some moving sometime soon, hopefully. And I think the plan for me is to move across the country, which is not a easy uproot. So I'll be skipping PAX this year.
Some moving. You're like, I'm going to be doing some moving. Like, I like to do a little moving every once in a while, keep things fresh. Or is it, do you have, I'm sure you have a place in mind and maybe even a job in mind. You're just kind of waiting for it to pan out.
Yep. So I guess we'll just throw this out right now. I am now currently once again under the CPG banner starting today.
You are what? Once
Under
again?
Yeah, so to give some context about what happened, because this was like great and super mysterious what we did. Before the BNEA and CPG partnership, one of the things that we had to do was, as counterplay, was transfer all the community related items over towards Bandai. They were going to be responsible for the community stuff. And part of that, I was transitioned over to BNEA, but we didn't make a big deal of that because we're like, we're going to try making sure that the players feel at ease. And so we're not going to make this giant announcement. So like, I don't know if many people knew this, but for the whole year I was working under Bandai. So, yeah, I wasn't, officially a CPG employee, but my functions remained exactly the same. And I was doing everything I could for you guys. I was just working double flags basically. And, unfortunately it came to the point where my employment with Bandai had to come to an end. And, we did that about I think a month or two ago.
Mm-hmm.
And in conversations with some of my old friends, I am now back with CPG.
Wow, what is your official title at CPG?
I'm going to be a community manager again. That is my goals and aspirations. But right now, there's some details I'm not allowed to disclose just yet. So
okay. Well, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm back in the neighborhood, so it's pretty good. It feels pretty good.
Back at CPG, which also means that CPG is hiring, which means they're not going away, they're not going under, as maybe some folks may have surmised just with the lack of kind of community attention lately. It does not mean that counterplay is going underwater. It doesn't necessarily mean the duelist is going away. That's great. Can you say, you probably can't say what project you're working on though yet.
Correct. That's one of those things that I have to not announce. And, there's a time and place for everything. Right now, I'm just kind of like treading water a little bit, seeing how everything's going. I've definitely missed Duelist, and I definitely want to start off by coming back here and seeing how everyone's doing, especially since I've been gone for about a month, maybe more. It just felt like this is the right place to start talking to everyone again.
That's awesome. Yeah, very cool. I'm not sure what exactly this Brome player is doing. He had the most unorthodox opening I have ever seen. He just walked one square up diagonal and then put a minion one square in front of him. Did you see that? That was really weird. I don't know if you're watching, but I'm just spectating a game by our boy Sing Ding. It was pretty good. There's still that Brome glitch. Yeah, the glitch where, like, Brome holds his hand up and just gets stuck in that animation. It's pretty weird. What's up, Cold? Hey, 0_. How you doing? Brome is doing his best Statue of Liberty impression. Yeah. So, can you, like, can you say anything about the future of Duelist? Is there anything that you are permitted to say, or you don't know? And
all right, so I'll say this much: there was before my dismissal with Bandai, there was a lot of offboarding stuff that I had to do. Yep. So I became a little bit less involved with what the current news for Duelist was, and didn't like people were like, "Oh, do you know anything about another expansion?" I'm like, guys, I can't tell you, and I had to respectfully tell no one anything because at that time I knew I'm stepping away. They're not telling me as much as they're going to, because obviously it could be a liability, especially when it comes to community managers, right? Since we're the ones who speak and talk everywhere.
Yep.
It is a huge red flag to start telling someone who's about to leave the company any secrets, right? You just don't do that.
For sure.
So as it stands now, I am now onboarding again, so I have to be caught up to speed. And as I have been told some details, there are some potentially exciting things to come out, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I learned my lesson from what happened with previous news. I don't want to say anything until it's set in stone and done in
Yeah,
production. So I'm gonna keep quiet and just be like, hold on, guys, just hold on.
Well, how about this? I think the thing that the community would most like to know is, is their favorite game, or at least the game they are and have been enjoying for years, is it going away? Is it gonna be gone? That you know of.
I'll rephrase an answer like this. It would be very silly for Counterplay to let this game go, right? This is a amazing IP that they've developed. There's tons of potential left in it. We just need to develop that further, right? I think that's the best thing I can say is it would be silly to let Duelist go.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's good. That's good enough answer for me. I mean, I'm excited. I just like this game. I have liked it. It's been my Hearthstone replacement ever since I got tired of playing Hearthstone. When Duelist was in beta, and there are just so many good things about it, and I'm honestly like shocked that it doesn't have more players than I feel like it should. And I agree with you about the potential that it clearly has. That just it just kind of needs to find that right time, right place. Maybe there's a couple of things, but I still love playing this game, and we'll play it until I can't even see myself getting tired of it. It's great. It's got so much more room to go, and it's great to hear that it would be silly for them to that you agree that it has the potential to. So without saying anything specific, that there's a lot of hope for it.
There's definitely like I know people mention this all the time, and being the community manager, I got to see the news of this constantly, daily. It's just like, hey, you guys need to market this game better, right? And so, I mean, that may be something I don't want to allude to too much, right? But that is something that perhaps we could look towards more in the future. I'm not like this. I don't want this to be like on Reddit tomorrow and be like Thanatos said this. It's just like, guys, just saying, Duelist is a great game. It's silly for CPG to let it go, and I do expect there to be something coming up in the future. Now, once again, I'm still onboarding. I'm still trying to catch up on what's going on. I don't know all the full news, but there's at least that to look forward to.
That's awesome. I'm gonna lower the in-game sounds were a little loud there. I also could turn up the desktop volume, but I'm just gonna lower the master volume on this way down. See, now this is a game development fail right here. What you're supposed to do whenever you move a volume slider in a game and you let it go, you are supposed to play a sound effect to give feedback to what the volume is at where you let it go. Because now I don't know, and I have to like go do this. Or actually, maybe it was playing it and I just didn't hear it. Let me see. Nope, it's not making any sound. So for those of you game developers out there, when you put a volume slider in your game, make sure to always have it play a sound at the volume that you dropped it at when you move it. Pro tips right there. Pro tips. What's up, Fate? Do you have enough bandwidth to be the community manager, Thanatos? Well, I don't know if you were here, Fate, earlier, but Thanatos just revealed that he was rehired by Counterplay as a community manager, so I assume he does have the bandwidths. But you can answer that, Thanatos, if you want.
Yeah, so I'll just reiterate, so now we got new faces back into our chat. To give some backstory, I was a community manager for Counterplay. Now, when the BNA and CPG partnership occurred, one of the requests from Bandai was to take over the community aspect. And so we very quietly, hush-hushed, moved all the community efforts, including myself, over to Bandai. So I was a Bandai employee for about a year. And, we tried to keep it calm so that it wasn't this big spectacle of, oh my God, everything's changing. It's like, no, like, for the most part, Bandai was very, very supportive about what the CPG devs were doing. And they're like, we just want to make sure that when we push things, it's through our channel so that we can get as much eyes on this as possible. Now, unfortunately, right, I did have to take my leave from Bandai, and with that, there is an offboarding process, right, where I'm not being told as much things on, you don't tell everything that's going to happen to the guy that's about to leave. So there's a lot of information that people were asking me, like, hey, what's coming up with Duelist? I'm just like, unfortunately, I'm not able to deliver this information. Now it's been about a month since I've been job searching and taking my vacation, and I have some really great friends in some really great places, and I am coming back to Counterplay Games. That being said, I just started my onboarding process again, so there's plenty of stuff I still don't know, and that's why I'm like, hey, I'm here to talk to you guys. I want to go back to my community, my friends, my family over here, but I'm not in any official manner ready to reveal any news on Duelist besides what we mentioned earlier. It's a really great game, and I don't think it'd be really silly to let this game go.
Do you know if Umbrella Exile is still working on the game?
I do believe Umbrella's still on the team. I don't think I haven't spoken to him yet, but the last time I spoke to him, he was definitely still there. Same thing happens with Stompasaur.
I remember Stompasaur, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And
those are two familiar names I can confirm that I believe is still there.
Does Emil still work at Counterplay?
Indeed.
Cool. And Keith, I assume, is still kicking it.
Yep. He's it was actually thanks to Keith and Emil that I was able to get this job opportunity, so I'm really grateful to have met those guys, and they're amazing.
Yeah. I haven't met them, either of them, in person because I keep missing PAX every year, except for this year I finally get to go. I don't know if they'll be there or not, but I've chatted with Emil a couple of times just digitally, and he's a very cool guy.
Yeah, I have not had the opportunity to meet them in person either. Or actually, no, that's a lie. I have. We met over at the Bandai headquarters once. Yeah, they're amazing individuals. Like, for me, it was very daunting because I would consider myself a very novice industry professional at this point. These guys were like titans that I got to meet, and I was just like, oh God. So they're real cool people, though. Like in person, they're just. You guys have seen the memes, the Duke of Discoverable, the Sultan of Spoilers. They're just so much fun to be around.
Yeah, it's awesome when people in the games industry can maintain, some semblance of humility after so many years, because a lot of people get really jaded, and I've experienced this a lot myself because I've been in the games industry for over 20 years now, and a lot of people just. Man, I don't know what happens to them. They get burned out. They, have a bad experience working at a game company, something like that. But it just like sucks the soul. It leaches the soul right out of them, and it's sad. So it's great when. Yeah, and Duelist is a fairly Counterplay is a fairly young company though, to be fair. But they've still, they've got some good talent there, and you can just tell. You can just tell by the personalities. Who's like a cool guy and who's gonna be like a grumpy old person in in 2 years, That was a hell of a painter, by the way. That was just ridiculous. Like his whole board just went bye. Oh, and he's got the purple Zendo. I really like the new skins. That in the last content update, there were all those new card skins that got added. Some of those are really cool. Like there's the purple EMP, the purple Zendo. Some of those are just awesome.
Yeah, that was one of the. I guess I don't want to claim all credit for this, but this is one of the things that we internally had been debating for months on end. Since Chronicle and Deceptical started making bosses and we started making boss skins, we were struggling to figure out what's the best way to get these into the game, right? And it was a real shame it took us this long to get it into it, because it was one of the things that it's already in the game files, right? Like it's already made. These assets are ready to go. Just how do we distribute these properly to players? So I was really glad to see that. Yeah, the last content that we had was just exactly that. It's like, here, use these skins.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was super amazing.
So, Magmar now, Starhorn now has every minion rush and frenzy due to the trial, so this should be really interesting to see. Like, every minion is a Macantor, pretty much. That's awesome. Let's see if Songhai can hold down the fort here. It's tough. I mean, he doesn't have much board, but that's pretty weak. A 1-3. Yeah, he needs some beef. He needs some beef, and I don't know if he's gonna find it in time. Is he gonna get another draw? Oh wow, never mind. He got beef. Oh my god. Casual 11 face frenzy. EMP should shut that down, but holy crap. Can I get a sword so I can slay half mine? I don't know that he needed to throw that in. Wasn't that gonna die anyways? Maybe not. Maybe it would have 1 health. And the ping for lethal. Wow. Beaten trial Starhorn. That's pretty awesome. See if there's anything else to spectate. So, does that mean you might be moving to California? Where's the headquarters?
Yep. So yeah, CP headquarters is out in California. So that's what I was alluding to. Was I may be moving across country to work over there. We'll have to see.
Oh man, you're finally gonna be West Coast, West Side.
It's that's I'm a little anxious about that because that's something that's been in the works for the last 3 years. We've been like, you should move out west, and then we had the partnership, and they're like, you should move out west, and now this is the 3rd time that I've been suggested to move, and we'll see if it actually happens this time.
So, a couple of questions about pixel artists.
I believe Glauber, the main pixel artist, is still working with them. I want to say. That's something I'm gonna quickly take some dev privileges and sneak up. It looks like we still have Rafael Ventura and Glauber Kotaki. I want to say that those two, maybe Rafael. I may be speaking out of turn here and saying things that I shouldn't be, but I believe those 3 artists are still with Counterplay making pixel art. So I'll say that.
That's cool. What's up, Longshot? Sorry you can't stick around. Nice to have you, though. You can always check the VOD if you want to hear more Thanatos memes. That is cool. Those guys were there since the very beginning, right? At least one of those guys.
Yep. I definitely want to say Glauber. I mean, Glauber was before my time, so that should explain enough. And then the other 2, I want to say, had also been there before I have. But if I'm not mistaken, Glauber was the one to make all the original pixel art.
Mm-hmm.
So he created, I think, all of the at least the basic cards in Duelist currently are all his creations. If I still remember correctly, I think they were inspired by Keith and whoever else aided Keith in the original design of the factions. So Glauber, how would I put this? Keith molded the idea, Glauber made it, brought them to life, and then after that, Keith started pulling back the reins and let Glauber put his artistic vision of what each faction looks like in Duelist. At some point, I know in our internal boards, there was no longer any real concept art for things. It was just like, we want this kind of idea, and it was just typically let Glauber go and create whatever the art and let him create the units.
That's pretty cool. You can always tell you can tell the difference between when the soul, every game development house has a different discipline for its soul. What I mean by that is if the founders were mostly programmers, you can tell because they're very tech focused development house, and there's really cool technical features in the games, and sometimes some of the other disciplines like art or design suffer a little bit. And similarly, you can tell like when a studio is an art, like has an art soul. Like what's a good example? You know, like Flower and Ori and the Blind Forest. Like a lot of those studios that make those games have, you can tell their high leadership was creative and art driven. And Duelist kind of, it seems like art was up there. I don't know if the whole soul of the game was art because there's also some interesting design choices that they made. So, but I don't get the feeling that it was the tech. So I don't know. What would you say?
Yeah.
What do you think the
All
soul
right.
of
So
Counterplay
without
is?
throwing anyone under the bus, right? Because we did have, I'm pretty sure all our old veterans are going to immediately sigh when I say Ironclad, right? We had some cards that did not match their art or their stats.
Sure.
So there definitely was cards that um Glauber took inspiration, took the first step to make. There was definitely cards that the design, the research and department team said, "Hey, we want to make this." So there was a lot of co-op work where someone said, "I want to request this, or I'm going to make this," and they made it happen. But at the same time, there was also a lot of I don't know, put this creative freedom for what we needed. And let me put this emphasis on something else real quick. There was also a lot of community feedback that I was able to take and help put into the game. I think one of the biggest moments we had was um, Ancient Bonds. I think it was Ancient Bonds when we did the Blue Conjurer, and we showed the preview of him, and it's this giant deer guy, and he does this giant globe attack over his head. And the amount of feedback that I saw on Twitter and I saw on the forums, on Reddit, on Facebook, people were like, "Oh, that's so freaking cool!" And I immediately told Glauber, I'm like, "Hey, I just realized something, right? A lot of our old pixel arts, when they came to attack animations, the attack animations were blank because the intention was for the tech side to create an attack projectile for them to do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when people saw those previews, right, it looked very, very empty, right? Because you just saw, okay, he did an attack animation, but nothing came out. There was no special effects. There's no visuals. A spellcaster didn't look like a spellcaster. It was just this guy doing this motion. You're like, okay, whatever. So when I told Glauber, I'm like, hey, man, look, we're getting tons of awesome feedback. People loving the actual visuals on the sprite. Maybe we should dial back the reliance on projectiles and instead actually put the effects on the sprite themselves, see how that goes. And yeah, I think after that people started seeing more and more of this, and people started loving that kind of direction we took with the art. And that was entirely like community feedback that no one, there was no survey, there was no forms, it was just stuff that we saw, and we're like, okay, people tend to like this, why don't we make that and see what the reactions afterwards. And yeah, it's something that hey, you guys had input. You didn't see it immediately, but it happened behind the scenes. And for me, that was just awesome, because then people were just like, hey, look, these things look cooler every single time. Every single expansion, the things that I kept seeing was they keep improving on the art. And it's like, well, yeah, we're looking for feedback. We're looking to see what people like, what people don't like. And that was one of the things that definitely resonated with the community was, what if it's just on there, right? What if I could just like click the unit and see what it does, as opposed to imagining what the spells or bolts look like?
That's really cool. When community feedback can work its way all the way, into a game. Not very many game development studios have that kind of relationship with their community, especially not during development. I mean, maybe after the game is launched, then you get balance feedback and things like that. Like, that's pretty common. That was a hell of a lethal right there. Pancakes wants us to watch one more. I'll load it up in a second here. But, like, being able to talk to your community during development is just something that doesn't happen a lot, because you can't really give away secret sauce. There's too many features that can't be revealed, and so it's really rare for that. So that's pretty cool that whole feedback loop was there. I'm actually pretty fortunate to be able to have that as well against, let's see, who was it? Jacko Sauce? Where is that? Where is that? Pancakes, you said you wanted to versus Jacko Sauce. Where am I just not seeing it? I am not seeing. Oh, as V. Okay, got it. So, um, So I make casual games, and we have like a transparent development kind of environment where we get to say, "Hey guys, what game should we make next? Here's three," because it only takes about a year to make a casual game. So we say, "Hey, what should we make next? Here's three variants." We let people vote, and then once they vote, we say, "Here are some feature options for those games. What would you be most excited about?" So we get to communicate with our audience from the very, very beginning, which is just awesome because it's that whole loop. Like, the team gets to talk about the game, which is exciting. The community gets to learn about the game before it's made, which is exciting. And it just hardly ever happens, but when it does, it's great. And I mean, Duelist had a lot of that too because they kickstarted it. So, Kickstarter is another way that you can get that same kind of thing, which is awesome. Did you get to have any input into the mechanics, or was it mostly the visuals?
So let me put it respectful like this. I was very much a gold tier player, which meant I had valuable feedback, but not universal feedback, right? How do I put this? It's like you go watch the NFL, and you can be a coach, you can teach, you can talk, you can coordinate with people and speak on the sport, but you can't perform at the same level.
Mm-hmm.
So my performance is nowhere near what it. I saw that on the stream. All right. My performance was never as good as some of my peers, right? Like I tried to scrim with Riverat, and I'd be like, I know I'm going into this game losing. Like I may brew a deck, it may be pretty good, but I'm like, this guy is a top deck god, and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna play to have fun. I'm gonna try to win, but it's not gonna happen. So when it came to feedback and suggestions and stuff, like a lot of us would be like, okay, in my, how do I put this? With my best judgment, what type of feedback is valuable for the team to listen to? What's stuff we already know internally versus what's stuff that's been repeated versus what's new information, and how do we weigh that, right? So that's all stuff that I had to do with the team, was sit down and be like, okay, people are complaining about X and Y. What are your thoughts on it? Is this relevant to you guys? Is this known? And some of it is just also just, I hate to be like very blunt about this, but I'm like, do you even care about this? Because there is information that would sometimes come up on Reddit, and people would just be like, look, it's a non-issue, or like it was known in development this would cause an issue. So it's like, okay, well, I'm just here to I'm just here to report things. So did I get a chance to give a lot of feedback? No, I'd say I get to do a lot of sentimental reports, right? So I would create spreadsheets for the team and be like, hey, I was playing with these cards and this felt good, or this felt bad, or this feels weird, or I'm trying to play this set in the closet and I'm trying to make this combo work and I'm just not seeing how this connects. And once again, my feedback is like, I'm trying to play from the perspective of a gold player, right? I am not the S-rank tournament god tier player.
Sure.
I'm here trying to enjoy the game, and I'm trying to tell you where the faults in this that I can see are coming from. So that's the feedback I was able to give. But as far as like number tweaking and like, oh, maybe you should like nerf it this card, no, I didn't. I respectfully knew my place, and like, this is not where I'm going to fight this battle. I'm just going to be like, this is my perspective. You guys have more than enough to worry about than me trying to like pinch and pull numbers here.
Yeah, totally. That makes sense.
So that's where a lot of my feedback went. And then art was something I definitely felt more comfortable doing. If not that I had an art degree or anything, but it was just something that I enjoyed pixel art, and I got to talk to people who enjoyed pixel art too. So when I sat down with Lauber and we talked at things, we just go over things like, hey, this is really cool. Maybe we should try this. He'd even just go over his theories and like his own set of rules that he had for the art. Like, one of the things that I got into, I won't say an argument. It was more of a teaching lesson from him to me. You guys never saw this. There was this beautiful animation for Trinity Wing. Now, it was beautiful, but it eclipsed the entire image of the actual model, the unit inside this vortex effect. And he removed it, and I was very, very sad. And you guys got to see what's today, which is like these two little spikes that come out of the ground. And so I'm like, why'd you remove that? It looks so cool. And he's like, it may look really cool, but you lost the unit. You don't get to see what it is anymore. It's gone. You no longer get the silhouette of the unit's no longer there. It's not visible. It's not identifiable, and that's very important to preserve the character art. And so he went over the philosophies of how to do this, and that was really cool for me because I love learning about these things. But I mean, there was that give and take also where I could provide feedback, but also I get to learn stuff from other industry professionals.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember when we did a project with Disney about five years ago. It was a Disney Fairies, a hidden object adventure game, and in order to do that, the Disney gave the artists on our team the Disney, what did they call it? They called it the Disney Bible. It came from the vault. Like it sounded super cool. You're just like, what is the Bible? What is this vault? Like what is it? And like they had to get it out of the vault, and you could look at it for a while and then had to put it back, kind of thing. You couldn't make any copies of it or anything, but it showed you sort of like the secrets of how to draw in the Disney style. Like here's how to draw. Like I'm not an artist, so I could not fully appreciate this, but when I saw this, I'm just like, this is probably like solid gold for an artist. Like, oh my god, just being able to see some of those like years and years of all these techniques that have been refined over all these years. And man, I can only imagine if I were an artist, I would have just drooled over that. But I got to see those things, and I'm just like, cool, I know how to draw a fairy. I can't do it, but boy, that would be awesome. So like hearing from the pros, like, here are some of the rules and guiding principles of some of the things we do is really neat. Can I share a replay? Sure thing, Cocaine. Just message me in chat so I can just click it. That would be the easiest thing.
Oh dear. So I have a huge amount of respect for people who stream like yourself and Scars really quite just noticed, because this is something that even I talked to Jordan. I'm like, I don't have the coordination right now to sit down. I'm like, I'm trying to talk to you, and I'm trying to read chat, and then there's this game going on in the back, and I'm like, I can't multitask this. So I've seen there's some questions already that we missed. If you don't mind me just like,
yeah, go for it.
So Fate asked the very, very touchy question of whatever happened to the prismatic card update. So I really hope I'm not throwing anyone under the bus.
Can you say that again? The prismatic what?
What happened to the prismatic card update?
Card update. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how to put it besides it was more time consuming than it was worth. Is the short and the sweet of it. And that unfortunately became a kind of.
So when you say, can you just give some context, because maybe some people don't know, when you say the prismatic card update, do you mean an update to the game that makes the prismatic cards more visually appealing, functionally appealing, like what?
So it's no surprise that when we first released the prismatic card updates, I wasn't even part of the team yet when this had occurred, that players were a little upset. I'd say more disenchanted with the idea of how they actually looked. At the time, I was still a moderator, and I had taken a screenshot off of the Kickstarter page of what I thought it was going to look like. And so even I was just a little like, man, I thought it was going to be a little bit more. But I came to my own conclusions, which to this day still seem like what I would expect out of a game company. The ones I had taken off of the Kickstarter page were very, very noisy. After speaking with Glabro about the whole preservation of card identity and making sure that there's not a lot of noise and you can still preserve silhouettes, I never got an official answer, but I still kind of think that's the reason why we never got any kind of like super brilliant on hover prismatic effects. But that's not the question, right? What happened with prismatics? Why didn't we ever get them updated? I just want to say it was one of those things that we had such a development crunch for this game, where one of the most important things for us to do was to make sure we hit these content updates, right? So Duelist, as many people noticed when we looked at the Steam charts, even though Steam charts don't show the full picture, is that yes, we get big bumps whenever we release content. So one of our driving goals was to make sure we hit those content updates. And so when it came to updating prismatic features, was just what is it doing for the game? Is anyone going to actively come play Duelist because we updated the prismatics? And that kind of just answered itself, which was going to be no, not really. So
Yep.
we put that in the back burner and be like, okay, we'll get to that one day. We'll get to that one day. And maybe we'll get to that, maybe we'll get to that one day. But for right now, I think that's just kind of the answer is it's just not this high priority target for us to hit.
Yep. That is a very fair and totally reasonable answer, and I know it just as well as anybody does. And man, like the unfortunate reality is when you're on a game development team and you release a game, there is no shortage of awesome ideas that the development team has, and then there's no shortage of things that the community is clamoring for, like, oh my god, add this or fix this or give us this, right? And so you want to do all of those things, and it sucks. It sucks because at the end of the day, it has to be an ROI decision, at least partially, not 100%. Like, it's not all about the money, but like there's a few priorities that you can imagine from the developer perspective. Like, can we keep the lights on as priority one? Okay, great. Now that we have that, like, what's the next thing? We need to kind of make enough money to build the next game or to add more features to this game or whatever. Like, you're still running a business, so I have that too. There's a feature. So I made a Sudoku game, the free Microsoft Sudoku game, and there has been a feature in that game that the community has been asking for since day one. Like, the most requested feature of all time was to bring like one of the daily challenge modes to a regular mode where they can play the whole thing instead of just a fraction of it. And it's super clear. And so, like, that's been on our backlog for, I can't even tell you how long. Like, when did Sudoku come out? Like 2016, 2015. So it's been like 2 or 3 years on the backlog. And it's just like, there's always been something more important to be done in front of it because the ROI is higher. And, it's just like, for the whole health of the studio and everything, we have to do this other thing first. So it sucks, but it's a reality. And I can say that if the company's around long enough, the chances that you get to some of those like high community wish list items gets greater and greater. Like, we're probably a couple of months away from that Sudoku feature from 3 years ago in my case. But so it's a good sign the longer Counterplay is around doing its thing, being able to get wish list features like that. But you got to bang out all of the must-haves before you get to the nice-to-haves.
Yeah, that's I guess the best way to put it really is, yeah, you have to have all the, how do I put this? Make sure the game is feature complete before you start adding more bells and whistles, right? Like, I have this fabled quality of life list that I've been keeping and maintaining on my end privately, and I know there's some folks on the forums that have been keeping their own private list, or not private, they actually have a public list for everyone to see. But then they're all like QoL changes and things that would drastically improve the game. But once again, when I would bring them up and be like, hey, we should do this development feature, which would improve the lives of our players dramatically. And then once again, the priority question was, okay, but how does this keep the game afloat later on, right? Like, is this going to bring new players in? Is this going to give us more money somehow? And if the answer was no, it's like, okay, well, let's work on things that actually do keep the game online for everyone else, because that's also not something you easily market, right? At some point, and like even to be snide, right? Like, the internet will be very, very harsh with things. Like, if we say, hey, we've got this awesome, just feature update for things, and people are like, okay, it should have just been there from day one, though. And it's like, we didn't have the manpower, the resources to do that day one. We just got to it, like, hey, one of the engineers finally found some free time to do that, and we pushed it out. And then people were like, okay, yeah, but what about this other thing? And it's this is very like demanding process. Like, let's make sure that what we're pushing out is what the game needs to push out, so that we can continue to make more stuff for it. And then, yeah, we'll get to everything else that how do I put this? No one on the Duelist dev team wants to make a bad game. We all want the game to succeed. So it's just very weird to see some comments sometimes where people are like, you're purposely trying to sabotage the game and you haven't done these updates. And it's like, no one's here sitting going like, oh man, as soon as Duelist drops, I'm going to be the happiest person ever. No one does that. So,
yeah, it's it's tough, and it's definitely tough to fight that because, you know, everybody has their favorite feature, and you want to do all of it. The reality is you can only do some of it, and boy, that Ghost Links did not do well enough there. But he only has to survive 2 more turns for this Doom to go off.
Oh dear.
You don't see Doom in Gauntlet very often. That is pretty ballsy play there, Hemp. And notice the emotes coming from this side of the board. He's not a BMer. He is an artist. That was well said there. In fact, Hemp is the greatest emote artist I've ever seen. If you've watched him play, it's pretty awesome. 2 more turns. Yeah. But I've got that, like the best thing you can do is just try to get the community on your side. You know, like, hey, #1 priority is this, right? And it's usually like, you know, we need to try to get more players in, and, you know, so we're gonna do all of the features that enable that first. And when you get the community on your side, it really helps. He is so close to dying. Like, how does he live for 2 more turns?
Yeah, this is frightening. I don't know.
That Eclipse there, like, all it has to do is... Wait, was that... Okay. And now he's gonna Betrayal.
Mine has me on his toes. And like I mentioned, I am so bad at like watching the game go right now and talking. I have huge respect for everyone who streams, because that is a talent I do not have.
He went down to 3 life. 3 life. And all he has to do is live this 1 more turn, right? He dies next turn, right? So he has to kill him this turn.
Execute order 60.
Oh god, he's going to 1! He's going to 1! And now he doesn't... He has got 5 cards and no burn. And dead on board next turn, but he didn't have the reach to get that last point. God, that was awesome. So Fate asked, so with what you just said is basically saying we are working on mobile. Well, I think what Fate is saying is there is a hypothesis in the community that a mobile release would bring a lot of new players to the game. But I think it's more complicated than that, right? Like,
yeah. So
can you say anything about mobile?
Can I say anything about mobile? I can't, because I don't know the current details on mobile. I can tell you this: the game actually would have been easier to port over to Xbox first, considering this is mostly a browser / PC game console sort of thing. And so the port over to Xbox is almost trivial. I'm not gonna say trivial because I don't want to speak on behalf of the engineers and like the next day be like, what are you saying? But that would have been the next most natural step to it. Now, is it the one that's gonna give this game the next big lifeline it needs? Probably not. I'd say that mobile would be the biggest thing for it. But
I played the mobile version. I've said this a few times, but I played the iOS beta, and I remember thinking, how in the hell are they gonna solve the interface problems of, like, on a device that small with all of the places you need to click? And I was shocked at how well it worked. Like, it seemed really close. I'm sure there were a ton of little polish items and fit and finish to do, but like, it seemed like at least 85% of the way there. It was playable, it worked, I didn't have any problems with it. It was great. It was really good. Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no problem at all. Yeah, no, like I said, I can't add much more to the mobile news. I mean, I can clear some of the air, being like BNAA never got the rights to do mobile, so if people were trying to pin the blame on Bandai, it's just like, no, not their fault. What happened with it, why the beta stopped, I can't really confirm. I will take responsibility for some of the, I'd say, the not so great things, because the information I got was a bit more enthusiastic than what we believed, which is, if anyone's wondering why we had a sudden turn in the production roadmap, was just yeah, we believe we could hit certain milestones. It didn't happen, and then that's when I started getting a little gun shy about telling people what's going on, because mobile was a pretty big thing that people were looking forward to, and I was like, let me promote it. Let's go talk about it. And when the news came around, be like, hey, you know that deadline you were talking about? We're not gonna be able to hit that. And I was like, okay, well, when are we? And it's just like, yeah, we're uncertain when we're ever going to be able to push this out at a reasonable time. That was totally a fault on my end as a community manager for starting to talk about things that weren't locked in.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which
just
is kind of natural because you get excited, about things and you really want to talk about them. It sucks to not be able to, and then in the worst case, you run into that scenario where something doesn't, fully manifest, and you've talked about it, and then you're in that weird position. Has happened many times. And it's tough, too, because on the one side, you're just like, well, I can not say anything and just sound like I'm dodging the question constantly, or I can say something and risk. There's just no way to win, basically.
Yeah, it really is. You get yourself in this catch-22. Like, if you don't say anything, people are going to complain. Oh, they don't talk to us anymore. They used to give us daily updates, and then if you do say stuff about tentative objects, right? Because the way game development works is you think you're on schedule, and all of a sudden something happens, and okay, times just get rearranged. There's new priorities. Then what happened to things you just mentioned? The way I like to phrase this best is, if anyone played League of Legends, the magma chamber, right? That was supposed to be a map that was supposed to come out for League of Legends, and to this day I don't think we have a magma chamber. It was promised years ago. It just hasn't occurred. And look at the massive company that Riot Games is, right? There's like, you should say there was no excuse. It's just okay. It was something they said and it fell through the cracks. And now I do want to say, look at Counterplay Games. We're not an entirely huge company. So for me, when I started mobile, oh my God, this is amazing. I want to share it with everyone, and to have it not come through, it was just like, right. I want to save the company's face and not have this kind of embarrassment go through again. So I'm just gonna keep it chill and not talk about anything until anything is said and done. And that even happened, I'll say, to things like just patch days, right? There'll be days where we're gonna patch that day. Guess what? One of the engineers has had an emergency, and things are, there's just red lights everywhere. There's sirens in the background. Everything's on fire, and now we can't patch. And of course, players are like, "You gave us patch notes. Where are the patch?" And we're just like,
"Yeah,
hold on.
What can go wrong will go wrong." Yeah, right. We learned the hard way never to do a title update on a Friday, which I don't know if maybe after 20 years, it's something that just came up in the last 4 years. We did a title update on a Friday. Something broke over the weekend, and hundreds of thousands or millions of players were affected by it, and it was just awful because even though we were reading our emails and we could do something about it, it turned out to be a dependency. It was an Xbox Live thing that went down for us, and the Xbox team doesn't work on the weekends, at least the team that was working on this feature. So we got totally wrecked by that happening, and we're just like, okay, that is the absolute last time that anything is getting updated on a Friday. Even if it's a super simple, a text change, we don't do it on a Friday. Just had to learn that one the hard way. How is Magmar still in this game? He got so low, but then I think he played the Rejuvenator, and sort of the Songhai player actually played the Rejuvenator and brought him back in the game, and now he's probably going to turn it around.
It's simple justice that Songhai should never win. That's all I have to say.
Well, Songhai breaks all of the rules of the game. Oh my God, that Pado is just going to sit on that tile. He can just sit that Pado on the grow tile. Oh, he's not going to do it. I guess he has to kill. Oh no, because
if he doesn't kill the painter, it's going to reset it back to a 0-2.
Yeah, he had to kill the painter. But now, once he does, if he could have put the other Pado there, couldn't he? Or maybe he'd need to move it out of the way. But if he can get a Pado on that tile, oh my God, it's the provoked Pado. That's the dream. That's like the silhouette tracer, or not silhouette tracer, sinister silhouette provoked. You can't attack it and you can't move, and it just locks you down until you can remove it with a spell. So that Songhai player is now perma-locked until he finds an answer for those.
beautiful. It's almost poetic, really, because now he can't move anywhere, and that's one of the things Songhai loves to do.
Is break
All
movement
right, so
rules.
we got another question, and I want to answer this because I can answer this.
Yeah.
Fate was asking, is the top 50 for Gauntlet or S rank ladder returning? All right, so let me clarify some of the things that I did at Counterplay and Bandai Namco, which was those things. Are they returning anytime soon? I can tell you, I cannot work on them. They're still this is still under contract with Bandai, so they're still handling community stuff. So even though I am technically black, I don't think I have the right to publish anything to Duelist. That being said, how does this work? Well, we have this awesome little mod tool that can generate the list for us, but someone has to pull the list, and then you have to verify the data because we've had times more than once where we've had data that's come back a little faulty. So I usually verify the data when I was doing this. Then we need to export that data and then put it into a template and then push that list out. Now, that's very, I'd say mundane grunt work for someone to do, but it is very time consuming. So what I'm trying to say here is your current community manager, Stormshade, is a very busy man. He is not a community manager stuck to one project like I was. I was solely working on Duelist. He's a community manager managing managers, right? When I worked under his wing, there were several other people he had to, I wouldn't even say micromanage. He just worked with several other people. And so he's got several projects he's got to attend to. This is a very time-consuming task for someone to sit down and do. So if he says he doesn't have time for it, you usually have to take his word for it because it was very time-consuming for me to do as well. So
contrary to popular belief, it wasn't just press a button, get the printout of the top 50. There's actually quite a bit of work.
I really wish it was that simple, but no, it's not. It was, and this goes once again to what I was saying earlier, right? There were certain features that I would have loved to had. That would have been a huge quality of life update for me, but it was just hey, are you having trouble doing this right now? I'm like, no, it's not fun for me to do, but I can do it. They're like, okay, we'd rather have our engineers work on bug fixes and new game development and working on the expansion than pull someone and have, I wouldn't say waste their man hours, but to definitely invest man hours on doing something that you're already doing and isn't affecting my schedule heavily. So when I left, that actually did heavily affect Stormshade's schedule. So that's probably the reason he can't do it right now.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And I had asked him about that also. I had mentioned this earlier on the stream, but for the folks who just got here, I asked Stormshade privately on a message board if that would be coming back, and he said, can't right now, looking for someone to replace the community manager role, but we're working on it. He did say they're working on it. So hopefully we get those back, because they were pretty awesome. I have to admit, when the Hearthstone Arena leaderboard came out, it did get me and a bunch of my friends to play a little bit more often, a little bit more seriously, which was nice. And when it came out for Duelist, I definitely, maybe to the chagrin of some of the Twitch chat, it makes you want to try hard a little bit, just to see how you can do, and then you get. And they're just like, where's the Serpenti memes? And you're like, nah, I gotta try hard, man. I gotta do the leaderboard run. But, now that those are temporarily off, we can get the Starhorn challenges and the memes, so that's at least good for a while.
I will say, to play devil's advocate on this, is it is one of those things where you're it is an improvement and yet a detriment to the community at the same time. And I want to first share our experience, and then I want to share an experience that was very similar to something else that had happened. So, when we were first creating the top 50 gauntlet list, one of the things I did go out was I asked Hasuku, I asked Silver Mist, I asked I think it's Nelda, I asked a ton of the gauntlet regulars. I'm like, hey, if we were to create this list, what would you want to see? What's the metric we're going to go based off of? Right. At first, I think we did best win rate, but then you guys promptly brought up no, that's not real accurate of what it should be. And it was great because I got to sit down with my community and try adjusting community feature for the community. And so as it stands now, yeah, it sucks it's gone, but it was something that we were able to work together, and I really enjoyed being able to sit down and try working on this. And I remember you specifically came up to me at some point oh, why don't you break it down further And why don't we do it by factions so that, if someone wants to do Fae 24/7, they are on their own list, and we can show people who want to play the non-optimal generals and reward them for that. I'm like, that's cool. Really hard to sell that, right? Because once, it was one, investment on my time to make these things, and two, what were we trading off? What were we showcasing? How does this look for everyone else involved in making these lists, right? They're going, why are we printing 50,000 lists, right? It's kind of one of the things, like, who does this benefit? It was like, well, the Gauntlet players, they'll love this, right? Anyways, but like you mentioned, so when you make lists, what happens is people start taking those modes seriously. And the first month we did those was great because no one suspected that. So we had a player who had done Silver. Do you remember? It was like, I don't know, like 120 runs that month or something like that.
Yeah,
runs.
it was
not games, 120 like runs. So they did completion, and I was just like, oh wow, that people are playing a lot of Gauntlet, right? And literally the following month, when we said what you needed to get on the top 50 list was like 20 runs, the entire average of what people were playing had just dropped down to, we're going to play the minimum 20 average so we can get the perfect score and get on the top 50 list. And I was just like, no, people are playing less Duelists. And I was so devastated because I'm like, well, what do we do? What do you do there? Because you want people to play Duelist, and you want to definitely promote people who are good and celebrate people who are doing amazing. But at the same time, it's just like, well, if I do that, right, people will do what they're doing right now. They're not going to play the fun mini stuff. They're not going to go out and experiment with the alternate generals. They're going to play the best in class possible because they want to hit that top of the chart. They want to prove themselves. It's just like,
yeah, that's such a challenging problem to solve, right? Because if you have to choose what you're going to index on for the leaderboard, or decide that you're going to do multiple leaderboards if you want to try to appeal to multiple types of players, right? And can your audience be split in multiple ways and still have a healthy leaderboard? Like, it's all a really tough balancing act to be able to do that, right? Like, if you say, hey, we're just going to index on the number of games played, then you get the players who just like, yes, I'm just going to grind out games. This is going to be awesome. And then you get the people who are just like, but what about the people who are good? You don't work, so you can stay at home all day and play 120 runs, but I got a job and I just want to try to be really good. And so you're always alienating some players at the expense of other players, and it's a really tough, balancing act to do that. And the only way to win is that's tough. I mean, there's no 100% right answer to it. That's the problem.
Yep. And so the other story I wanted to share, because this was also something before my time, and this is something that I was personally irked with. I was like, how could they? Back in the day of Duelist Beta, when S rank was the promised meme land, right? There was no ranks. You got to S rank and that's it. You just played for fun, and I loved that time because you would play whatever you want, and then if it was memes, if it was casual, if it was hardcore, it didn't matter at the end of the day because you were just S rank 0. That was all there was to it, and you were just playing with your fellow ladder members. And if you're watching a stream, the streamer would be like, oh, his deck completely crushes mine. I'm just going to continue going to the next game and see if we can pull off our memes, right? And was super, super happy then. And then we actually, not we, at the time I wasn't there. Then Counterplay pushed out actual S-rank ladder positions, and then all of a sudden it wasn't a fun time anymore to go on the S-rank ladder, right? You'd see these streamers get super frustrated because oh, my rank, if they didn't top deck that one thing, or oh, the replace didn't get me what I needed, and people got frustrated, and then there's try-harding, and then they're like, oh, where's casual mode? I just want to play some regular games again. There was no more of that safety. And I was like, same thing there, right? It was just like, what do you appeal to? Do you appeal to that lovely, awesome, have fun, go lucky promised land, or do you promote players who are they've done their grind, they've gone all the way to the top of the ladder, and now they want to prove, they want that sense of, I don't know how to put this, I don't even know what the right word is for it now, but yeah, just to show off that pride that, look, I am the best of the best, or I am the top ladder, and these are my merits, right? This is how far I've gotten, and I want to prove that if I'm a better player than you, here's the metric to do that. So yeah, there's just a lot of, for me, it was a very interesting choice to sit down and be like, okay, well, now we're going to push out these top 50 lists. What are they doing to our game, right?
Totally. Oh, it's a friends replay. Man. Okay, let's try this here. Let's just go into Chrome and play this replay. Okay. Rip boss battle tries. Dude, like, it's fun experimenting against the bosses, but I still wish that feature was in there that I mentioned, like when the bosses first came out, which was a little checkbox for beating the boss with each faction. Like, God, that would just add so much replay to those.
So I'm gonna punch out some CPG secrets real quick. Back when I was working with Deceptical and Chronicle, we were definitely bumping heads with some other people, right? At the end of the day, we were just designing bosses, and it was kind of a side project because like we really like doing these, but we have other disciplines, but we were trying to push this out because once again we really enjoy doing these. And so one of the things that we did not get the okay on immediately was making hard mode bosses. We actually had a Calibero 2.0 in the game files, and I think T2K5 has already data mined it and probably pulled out even the deck list or whatever. And we did a trial run, and the issue that came up was it's too time consuming to do this, which was the exact issue we had with the daily puzzles, right? It's like, if it's going to be too time consuming that you cannot get to your other tasks, we don't want you doing that. You have other higher responsibilities you need to be working on. So we were like, okay, we're going to do it. Eventually, way later down the line, I think about a year or two after, I don't know about 2 years, but it was definitely a year later, Chronicle and I sat down and we kind of theory crafted a way we wanted to do hard mode bosses, and I was really proud of it. And I'm sad it didn't happen because both of us eventually went our separate ways. But the goal was very simple, because how do I put this? Everyone remembers Shinkage Zendo, and everyone knows how much of a pain in the butt he is to play.
Yeah.
And I took one concept after sitting down and reviewing all the bosses, and I realized how simple and silly and amazing this would have been. Shinkage Zendo, I think, is the only boss that starts you on the opposite end of the map. So typically you're player one and you get first player's advantage, right? You get to make the first move, you get to manipulate the map in some sort of order. Shinkage Zendo doesn't do that. He goes first. So you get this really, really weird random outcome of what's going to happen, because you don't know if he's going to drop Phoenix Fire in your face and you're going to call that a good day, or if he's going to do like Kairo Assassin, Katara, and all of a sudden he has tons of minions to generate tons of shields and you're not moving anywhere and he's setting up for backstabs. Right? There was a lot of high variance there. So one of our goals to make harder mode bosses was we do it like a heroic mode, where once a month we'd repeat one of the bosses and the map would be flipped. So you'd be going second and we'd spice up the deck. So typically the boss decks had a lot of meme cards. One of the things we aimed to do in the boss decks was to put in cards that players typically did not see, just to remind them like, hey, these cards exist, maybe you should try them out, and give some sort of like, maybe this card could be good against this boss fight, maybe you want to try it, hey, do you remember if this exists? But for the heroic hard mode version of it, it'd be like, no, we're going to do this super try hard, very angsty, very hateful type decks that would push players to their limits, and hopefully people wouldn't be too angry that, you know, maybe once a month, 1 week, they would not earn their boss crates for free. But yeah, unfortunately the time development, I think we got to do like 2 or 3 bosses before it was kind of shut down, and we were like, okay, we have to move to something else. We weren't working quick enough to do it, but that was something that we were working towards, was definitely doing that, and that got me all excited because like, oh man, that was so cool. That's what we wanted to do.
I know. And the daily puzzles too. The daily puzzles was actually probably my favorite feature of this game outside of Gauntlet. I love those, but I know exactly what goes in, depending on how the tools were, and even if you had the best creation tools in the world, like making those is a huge commitment. One of our games actually has handcrafted daily challenges, and that game is just like constantly under the eye of Sauron of how can we like either move these to algorithmic or create the same kind of content without taking up so much time of like one of my designers. Like, oh my god, it's awful. So like, and really the only way to do it with a team the size of Counterplay, in my opinion, would be to crowdsource it, like, which has its own set of challenges. But like, if there were if you guys had a tool that was like, hey, this is the challenge creator tool, like client, and you can like position minions on it, and it was really nice, and you make it consumer ready, and then you just ship it out there and let people, like, let the community create challenges. That's the only way that you get the breadth of content that you would need, I think, to be able to have that feature without like just killing somebody's time.
Yep, and I mean that still comes with its own challenges because we thought about outsourcing it to the community and saying, okay, we'll just have people, submit their own challenges. It still came down to it's time intensive because then someone needs to review it, make sure it works, make sure.
Yep,
that
you gotta still curate it, right?
And when it came down to it, it's like, hey, Deceptical, who was the guy who had made a lot of the original challenges, if I'm not mistaken, he's like, hey, how much time would this do? He's be like, do we want good ones? Do we want quality ones? What are our guidelines for this? He's like, no, this is still going to be an investment on my end to do this. Yep. So, yeah.
And then, like, as a bigger company, you have like political concerns and rating concerns. Like, sure, this challenge was great, but the starting minions formed the shape of an offensive, word or some bad. It's a phallic symbol, like, and people get offended by that. Like, you can't just let stuff like that fly. So that requires another level of curation, which sucks because you'd love to do that, but you just can't.
Mm-hmm. Also, that is one swole ripper. Oh my.
The 10-5.
Now, I just noticed. I was just like, wait, how did it grow? I'm like, oh, he's got the other grow sore. I don't remember what his name was. Okay, I guess more insider info. For the longest time when working with Joseki and Umbrella, the whole Tomb River, Ass Sibbins, Wintermute, when they developed cards, the intention was to use their finalized name in testing. There's an issue that came up was we'd get used to their names in testing, and then when it came to do actual spoilers, someone would do the final pass, right? Some of the names were not appropriate. There were 10 colors, or this is more appropriate to the lore or the universe or whatever it may be. And so, sometimes I wouldn't know that wasn't the finalized name, and then we get stuff like Party Elf, which became Spriggan, right? And that's one of the biggest travesties we found.
That was his name in testing?
Yeah, it's Party Elf. It's amazing.
I know. That is so much better than Spriggan.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the reason we started getting, how do I put this? Umbrella started getting more creative with his names because the intent was, okay, if we put really ridiculous names, we'll not remember them by the ridiculous names when they go live. And, well, I don't know if that really actually works.
Yeah, no. The more ridiculous, the more memorable, right?
Yeah. Because, like, I still remember Rippers by Gibblepup? I think it was Gibblepups is what we call them internally. It's just like Gibblepups. Yeah, they're just amazing. Yeah, so it's just... So some insider info. Yeah, we had temp names, not all of them stuck, and there's definitely some devastating ones. Like Evolutionary Apex was called Dino Party.
Dino Party.
Like, come on, you're gonna tell me you rather cast Dino Party or Evolutionary Apex? It's like,
wait. So I kind of missed this detail. Explain again why it was bad to have the final name be the test name.
Because we would go under the intention that was the final name, and then names are like the final thing solidified in the set when we were creating the set. So if there was going to be a name change, it'd be done like the week before it released.
Oh, and then everybody would have it burned into their memory. So we said, like,
exactly.
Let's not do
like,
that.
Like Wintermute would join a chat and he'd be like, hey, have you played this card? And everyone was like, what's that? New card? Next set? Spoilers? And we'd be like, oh, no, he's talking about that card. And then no one would take him seriously. And we're like, no, not that actually is the name of the card. We just named it. And then we changed it. And then no one can remember the new name. And I was just mentioning it because the new Grow Minion, I actually don't remember what the old name is, but I can't remember what the new name is either because I'm just like, oh, that was just the Grow Lizard. And I remember Umbrella named it something really, really odd so that no one would remember it. So.
Oh, man. I think, yeah, like for me, it would have the reverse effect. Like I would get attached to the silly name, and I would just...
Some of them are like really cool. So I know we have Dream Shaper, but he's called Dream Carver. I really prefer Dream Carver over Dream Shaper. Like, I don't know, it sounded better to me. And so I could probably go down the list and like try to scrap my brains for the old names. But some of them were really creative, some of them were real funny, and then there's other ones that
Tell me that Soul Piercer was actually named Archie McArchface during testing. Did you guys take that, or was he like?
So actually, there is history to Soul Piercer and why he was chosen, or she. I don't remember right now.
Yeah.
For the name contest. So Soul Piercer did not change much from development, right? It's actually almost exactly what it is now in live.
Mm-hmm.
And the intention for Soul Piercer was to be a backline archer, right? And I had this giant discussion where I'm like, it is not a backline archer. A backline archer is literally anything but Soul Piercer. Soul Piercer fights in the front because it's a Zeal unit and it stays with your general.
Yeah.
And typically, Lioneer generals do not go in the back. So it is a frontline archer. And I had this debate with some of my other colleagues, and they're like, okay, whatever, you call it whatever you want. It doesn't really matter. And then I posted a tweet, and I put my foot down. I'm like, it's frontline archer. Right? And I stood by my ground, and it's a frontline archer. And I was giving hints to what the card did. And then, of course,
I remember that.
Well with everyone else who immediately went live and said, no, it's backline archer. And so then people started saying, was it a frontline archer or is it a backline archer? So because no one could make up their mind, and we actually had a midlife archer having a midlife crisis, we were just like, okay, you know what? I asked for permission, like, can we do a naming contest?
A community naming vote. Yeah.
We'll just relinquish control of its name. We'll see what the community comes up with, and hopefully it's something good. And we eventually got Soul Piercer.
Yeah, although, guys, you totally let us all down with the memes that could have happened there with a name like Archie McArchface. I mean, that's what's supposed to happen with a community vote. You're supposed to get a ridiculous name out of it. Soul Piercer was way too real and way too cool. So I feel like the opportunity was lost.
We had Skippy. Skippy was one that no one expected to win, right? It was one of those things where like, okay, we'll throw it up there. It'll probably be like this funny joke thing that maybe no one will vote on, and then
Skippy, yeah,
it stole everyone's heart, and we now have Skippy, and we're like, okay, we'll have a Skippy in our game. So
yeah, that's awesome.
That thing, if I remember correctly, I know Riverwrath is going to appear out of nowhere now and like smack me in the back of the head and correct me. I think its internal name was just Flame Doggo, or something to that.
Flame Doggo.
Yeah, it was something very, very simple. It was just like, okay, that's what it is. Now
Flame Doge.
Come out and just correct me. No, I'm sad. Okay.
This is a gauntlet deck? What the hell? Look at this. Grapnel, Nimbus, Allomancer. Look at the quality of this Vitruvian list. Holy crap.
They have a Shrike, though, a Baron Shrike, so it's clearly a gauntlet list.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely gauntlet. It is. I looked at it, but damn.
Just say no one plays Elk Owls and Entropic Decays. Come on.
Holy moly. Yeah, there was another card that he had that in here that was really... Oh, Skippy. We were just talking about Skippy. Skippy is actually quite good in Gauntlet because it's a value generator at 3 mana, which is really nice. It usually 2 for 1s.
So Artie Frost asked, why aren't there more animal general skins? We want more Doge. So there's actually quite a lot of backstory to Doge High as well as skins. So let me start with Doge High. Doge High went in before my time, created for Kickstart backers, and there's a lot of history of what happened with Kickstart backers, and none of it that we're all very proud to talk about, because there was a lot of things there was a lot of intentions that we wanted to do and a lot of things that did not pan out, right? So there's a lot of sadness there. But one of the things that I definitely put my foot down after talking with JuVD and some of the other developers were like, let's at least honor that no one can else get Doge High. Let's try to keep that one definitely for Kickstart backers, because there's a lot of things that we said we would do, and this is definitely one of the things we can definitely keep. That did come in later in development, but so that's the story on Doge High. Now, did we want to do more Doge-related skins? Yeah, actually, Bandit was all for it. At one point, one of the producers was like, why don't we just have an entire, like,
Doge
expansion? Yeah.
Oh wow, that would be awesome.
Yeah, we were just like, just do it, right? I mean, people love Doge High. let's capitalize on that. So now let me give you some other history on what happened with skins. Skins are not cheap to produce. And I will talk as very like developer, very forward facing thing. And this is going to be something that people don't want to hear, but I'm going to say it anyways, right? Skins are extremely expensive to produce, and they weren't necessarily selling at a price that we could get the money back for producing them, right? And that's always a very awkward conversation to have with the community, because when the community starts talking about like prices and like, oh, we want to support the game. I'm like, cool, we'll put stuff in the store, and they're like, well, everything's too expensive. We're like, okay, well, the game's also, it's like, well, we're a free-to-play game, but we need your money to operate. So if we push out a product, it has to be appropriately priced, but now it looks awkward. And that's kind of a lot of what happened with some of these cosmetics. It's just like, we would want to push out cosmetics, but if we were to put it at the price that we expect to break even, it's not going to be something players are going to want to pay. So then we can't make the cosmetics if no one's going to buy them at the price we're hoping to get them at. Eventually we came to the breakpoint with Bandai, something that happened one of the more later updates where, okay, what if we drop the price in half because people are paying for them at half price, right? That was something that we saw. Okay, we do a sale, people are willing to buy them at the sale point. If we drop it in half, people would be willing to buy it at that, and we would increase the amount of sales we were doing, and that seemed to work. But I'm going to stop talking there because I'm not a marketing expert. But it was very awkward to be, to try communicating to people like, hey, I know you want this kind of content, but this content costs us money to produce first before we can give it out to you guys. And unless someone is willing to pay that, there's just no way we can just magically pull this out of our pants and be like, here, have this stuff. That being said, I mean, I've seen glorious amounts of recolors that people have been doing on their client side, and maybe in the future I would like one things on my QLS would have been stuff like that, right? To have some sort of like community driven sprites and maybe get some of the really cool recolors and try selling that back to the community so that everyone could see that. But that's just me talking out of place.
Yeah. I mean, you have to remember that at the end of the day, making games is a business, and the best way to get more games and more content is to make sure the business is healthy. And so, I mean, that just has to be the top priority at all times, and which is not always what players want to hear. But it's nice when a development studio can be transparent about that, because nobody ever wants to talk about money. Like, that's not, it's from the consumer perspective, we're here to have fun and we're here to compete and have tournaments and memes and all that great stuff. But, sometimes you have to take a little hiatus from some of that and talk about the business side. And not a lot of big companies are willing to do that. So it's great to have companies like Counterplay who can be transparent and say like, hey, this is not the value proposition that we need, and it's just not working for us right now. But, we would love to do it. So that's really cool. I'm able to have those conversations as well, which is cool. Just because even though I'm at a huge, gigantic corporation, our studio is like more like almost like an indie studio because we're pretty small. So we can be transparent about those kind of things as well, which is really cool. Pay with dog coins? You mean Dogecoin there. That's the pronunciation. It's Dogecoin. Come on.
So Artifrost,
yep.
If you ever want an estimate, I definitely say reach out to Glauber, and you can ask him for like, hey, I would like to commission an animated GIF, and just see the number he gives you. And it really is jaw dropping to me, because it's just like, oh no, like when I first was aware of how much it costs to make one, I was just like, I get it, I totally understand. I was like, this is right, the professional high quality grade made stuff. And I'm just like, I surrender this conversation. I don't even want to talk about this anymore, right? Like, I'm good.
Sometimes it's because of things that are not seen. Like, I'm going to show you guys something. So let me show you a reference from Solitaire. So the Solitaire is one of the games I made, and there is a set of art in this game for something called events. And events is like the multiplayer area of Solitaire, and it's loading right now. So these banners right here, which show up a few places in the game. So that banner, which has another banner here, and it shows up at multiple screen sizes. This is a mode where you play against like 100 people, and you just get on the leaderboard and stuff like that. Doesn't matter. What's important is this image right here, and there are several of them, cost so much to make that it's almost preventative. Like, it's almost prohibitive to make those, given the amount of players that play in events and like just how much time it takes to create them. And you would never think that. You're like, it's a graphic, like what's the big deal? But there is so much going on under the hood and behind the scenes with those images that just the way they have to be pipelined into the game and everything, that just makes them a nightmare. And it's just like, oh god, do we need to make another banner? Holy crap.
Yep. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, so back when I still moderated the our Discord, it was something I saw.
You're kind of breaking
right?
up. Hold on a second, Thanatos. Let me let Skype breathe for a second and then try again. Say something.
Hello, can you hear me good?
All right.
Solid?
Yeah, now we're good.
Cool. So yeah, no, same vein, right? So it was something that when I moderated the Discord, I saw people posting their recolors of sprite sheets, and there is always that conversation. It's like, oh my god, anyone can sit down here and recolor a sprite sheet, right? Why don't we have more skins? And it's really easy to say, like, yeah, just hire an undergrad and do it, right? And that's super simple to say, but then think of it from a perspective of an artist, right? Like, this is what they're paying to keep food on the table. They want professional pay, not $5 for redoing this thing. So yeah, when you say prohibitive, it's like, yeah, you need to pay people what they expect to earn as a living for doing these things, versus like, oh, I sat down here and I recolored this Magmar thing into a line art thing because I thought it looked cool. I'm like, yeah, okay, I mean, some of that's cool. But yeah, these are people working. I wish the game could work on charity, right? Where it's just like, I wish we could just sit down here and be like, everyone just pour your free time into it. It'll be great. It'll look awesome. But we're working at the end of the day, right? And people need to get paid to keep to stay alive. So there's just definitely decisions that have to be made. Like, is it worth it? Is there a drawback? Is there a significant issue? And that actually kind of ties into like things such as the splash arts, right? We made these beautiful new splash arts for the Immortal Vanguard generals, and I had asked them, like, we're getting the old ones updated to match, right? And they're like, does it break the game? Does it stop anyone from playing? Is there an issue? Is it a blocker? No. They're gonna have to hold. The game still functions with the old splash art, and that is a money sink we cannot afford currently. And it's just like, you don't talk to me like that, right? Like, no one wants to hear that, but it was just like, no, realistically, that was one of the things we said. It's like, we'll get to that later. Just right now, we need to put our money into making the next expansion.
Yep.
So,
and when you find out, like, when I learned how much those banners cost to make, I'm just like, seriously? Like, okay, let's fix the game so that it doesn't cost so much to make those, and then you have to spend money on that. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Oh, look, he played a bird.
Oh, well, everybody's heard about the
Everybody's heard.
bird. Bird's a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. Bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird, bird. Well, a bird is a winner, well, a bird, bird.
What's up, Nick? Name generator failed. How's it going? So I'm finally actually in a game now, and deciding how not to get wrecked. I'm wondering if I
plays until you said that. I'm like, oh,
I
okay.
probably have to kill that bird. I probably have to kill that, so I have 4 mana. I can get up to 6 mana. So do I just like load up the board? Probably don't need this. I don't really want to give him a free kill there. So I'm probably going to have to go 2 on there. Maybe I just let the bird live. for a turn. I want to have an answer to things. Because if I play Kron... Well, I can't play it now. I already replaced. Awesome. This probably has to go here. Let's take all the manas. So I have 6 mana, maybe 7 left. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So I should be able to get everything down here. Thing is, if the bird comes down here, I can ping it. So I think we're all right. I guess we just spam everything. Just take all the mana. I'm even gonna play this bird. I just dumped my entire hand onto the board. Thanatos, what food are you looking forward to in Cali?
As far as I was aware, I was still living in the US of A, so I didn't expect there to be different food.
Oh, come on, In-N-Out Burger? They don't have In-N-Out Burger where you live. Come on.
That's true. I have been into an In-N-Out. I do not recall the experience.
Yeah, see,
I
Echo.
may have had plenty of adult beverages before that, so.
All right. He wants to take out the bird as the top priority target, which I'm cool with. I'm cool with that. And then, like, what, provoke me in the back? That's fine. What do I replace here, man? Probably the Repulsor Beast.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think yeah, because this is less mana and does effectively the same thing. So he's going to value trade my 2/3, punch my 3/2, and hopefully this ooze smacks him in the face and puts the last, or maybe he'll play a provoke here. Fizzle it. Okay. Oh, he healed it. That's so greedy. Oh, please punish that by the ooze hitting this and then putting the 1 there. Please punish that. No! No, it didn't punish it. Alright, so I punch this and it dies because it's got the creep on it. Then I play Kron defensively. Somewhere that this can't hit it. So let's do this, right? Alternatively, I move down and play it directly behind me. I think that's better. Where do I want to put this? I think this is all right. Okay, then I just attack here. Probably move this here. I mean, I suppose he can pop this move here and then play there, but actually, let's move this back. All right. So he's got 5 cards to my 3, but I have a much better board at the moment. What's up, Britt? Move the 2/3 down. Thanatos, what is your favorite card? And does your mom know that it's Sand Burrower?
I don't know.
And does your mom know that it's Sand Burrower?
It's not Sand Burrower.
But the value.
I think I have to go with the first legendary ever impact, which is Silithar Elder. I think I have to go with that because that embodied everything I wanted out of this card game when I started playing Magmar. It was also the first legendary I ever got in the Gauntlet draft, so it has history with me. I'll say it like that. So yeah, I think I'll say that. Silithar Elder.
Silithar Elder is pretty cool, both in Gauntlet and Constructed.
It was just I read that card and my jaw dropped, and I was like, "This should not be a card. Like, who thought of this? They're insane." And then I finally got to meet the person who was behind this, and they are insane. So, this is cool. All right,
No.
I don't know. I don't know if it was actually them, but I mean, I like to say that Umbrella is insane because whenever I talk to him, his design philosophies are basically that. He likes to him and I have that in common where like we want to see strong reactions out of people when cards get shown, and that's why I loved spoiler season, because for me it was always that moment of, is this going to be a good reaction? Is going to be a reaction? Are people going to be interested enough to talk about the card? And oddly enough, people are going to be like, oh, you don't want to do bad reactions, right? I'm like, I want people to talk about Duelist, right? That was my main priority. So if you got on there and you're like, that card is the worst thing ever, why would they print that? I was like, hey, you're doing exactly what I want you to do. You're going out there and you are talking to people about that card. And he kind of shared that opinion too, where it's just like, look, I want, how do I put this? I'm gonna quote him, and I hope he's not mad at me. He's like, I want people to be upset about a vanilla minion, right? A vanilla 25 minion. So
World
there you go.
Core, yeah.
Yeah, he's one of the people that I was like, you could have made it, I don't know, a little less oppressive kind of things. He was like, how else do you make people interested in a vanilla minion? You know, make it a 25. Now people have a reason to talk. I'm just like, you're insane. You're insane. So there you go.
I feel like every time World Core is offered to me in a draft, I can't take it because there's some higher priority target I have to take. Is this when this deals damage? Is he dead? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's lethal. I'm gonna try to get the lethal on the proc of Purgatos though. Do I get it? I did. Sweet.
I completely agree with you, Artifrost, but there's one hidden weird interaction that I never understood why this was a thing. It's what is it called now? The Catastrophosaurus? The 626 Magmar has? I don't know what the story is behind it, but you cannot have those two fight and have the World Clone kill it. I don't know what the purpose behind that is, but that's the reason it's not a 26 or higher. So
what is it? Wait, you can't have the World Core can't
kill the Catastrophosaurus from what is it, Extinction Event or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
That was just one of the weird things.
Like a lore reason or a technical reason?
I don't know. I just don't know. I'm pretty sure it's not a technical reason. I don't think there's anything stopping it from one smacking it. But that is something that I saw in testing. I'm just like, that seems kind of weird. And I never got an answer to it because I didn't want to ask more. Knowing that I already had gotten the weird answer of how do I get people interested in the vanilla minion was answered in a certain way. I was like, this is something that it's there's something going on here, and it's far above my pay grade to understand right now. So I'm just gonna leave that as is.
Hempmine says World Core is what caused the event. He's digging into the lore. Yeah, it's interesting the decisions that the development teams on games make due to lore that sometimes is not even obvious to the players. Like, I was working at Monolith several years ago, and they made a game called The Matrix online. I was not on that team, but the team was telling me some of the weird decisions and rules that they had in the world. For example, that the Wachowski brothers had just sort of like mandated, and one of them was there was a certain shade of blue, and actually it was almost all shades of blue, that could not show up anywhere in the game. You cannot use the shade of blue, which is really interesting. Like, why? It's because, well, the Matrix is dark and it's this world is green, and like the only time you ever see blue in the movie is that one scene where they fly up through the clouds and you see the sky, and it's such an amazing contrast to everything else, right? And it's interesting, and so they just said, hey, if this is actually the Matrix, there cannot be blue at all. And you don't really think about how limiting that is until your artists are just like, what? Here's a cool picture. Oh crap, it's got blue. So that was really interesting. And like when you have a lore reason for something, if nobody knows the lore, then you're just kind of like that 25 to 26 thing. I'll bet nobody knows You
I
know,
mean, I don't think anyone's cracked silver yet either. So
cracked silver. What do you mean? Like why?
silver, yeah,
What
like
the
what
lore
it
is?
stands for.
Say again.
What silver stands for? I don't think anyone's figured that one out yet, and we're
Nobody
just
has
gonna sit
figured out
there.
what silver. I didn't even. No, I didn't. I mean, I know it's an acronym.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's one of the things we're just gonna sit on that and be like, maybe one day, maybe 25 years from now, people will be like, I figured it out, and then we'll be like, hey, there it is.
Is the information to figure it out readily available in the game?
Um, in the game, no, it is definitely part of Duelis's history, which you may want to ask Sibin and
Okay.
Rivrath about.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, maybe even Wintermute if you can find him. But yeah, it's a little giggle that I just don't expect anyone to figure out ever. But it has lore to us, at least to us that played with it for a bit. So
Super. So the S is Sivan and the R is Riv. Oh damn! I'll buy
mm,
that. I'll buy it.
where's the T then? I'm sad you would go there and not expect there to be a T.
It used to be the testing name was Silvert.
Speaking of lore, was there any other sort? Okay, Awuga. Story or campaign to expand on the lore. So if I believe Keith Lee was the person writing most, if not all, of the lore until he kind of handed the project over to us and we started doing stuff like bosses. Are there? I believe somewhere there is some unpublished chapters and there's lots of theoretical work. And the issue is it's all in Keith's head and we have no way to extract it, right? The man has so many other things to do that I don't think we will ever sit down and get the full story of Duelist in his mind onto paper, into text, into the game. Is there a campaign mode? We toyed around with the idea. That was kind of where the start with bosses was going to head towards if it really picked up, and that if that became what the game was going to be, then yes, that would have been our next step towards it. Clearly, we leaned towards more that people were doing the PvP aspect of it, so I can't say that there will or will not be any more single player type content. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Right. So yeah.
I think I want to Repulsor Beast this, which is not awesome because it's my only form of removal, but it does let me tempo out a 4/6. I suppose I could just play the 4/6 without to play it like up here. It's not awesome. Yeah, this is not great. Because I'd have to play it on the mana tile, which lets him basically clear it for 1 mana. I think I need to keep this Repulsor Beast, so we're just going to go up and back this up a couple squares. Maybe play the Thunderhorn, which will keep him off of this tile. It makes him play something defensive, though, which I don't have. So maybe I just go 2 into 2. Get a little bit more on the board. Yeah, let's play these here. Do the most with the board until I have to answer something. Rip, no Vath, Cell, Piccolo, Skin, no SSJ, Argian. Can you talk about how the decision to make crates open for free? Yeah, tell us about the transition from paid, pay for the keys to the free crates. Can you, if you can?
I actually don't remember who pulled the trigger on that. To be completely honest, I don't remember who did that right now. I can tell you, wow, I'm trying to remember actually right now. So there was the issue one with the boskins, right? Like I mentioned earlier, we've been trying to figure out how to get boskins in there. There was a lot of complications because of what do you do with duplicate boskins when the bosses rotate eventually. How do you market boskins back to the player? Players were already upset with paying the $5 500 diamond price tag for the boss crates, right? Some people were like, "Oh, you're not offering me anything for the boss crates." So I was like, "We're actually giving you the best quest ever, which was sit down and in maybe 10 minutes, if you get it on the first try, you spend 10 minutes, you got 100 gold by getting a free orb, right? Like that's like the best time to gold ratio quest in the game, hands down. People didn't see it like that. They were like, "Well, you're making me pay 500 for a chest." And it's like, what about the free orb? Anyways, so at one point we sat down, we're like, okay, why don't we rework the chest, chop off a little bit of what's currently inside, but just make it available to everyone. And it just felt like it was just the natural right thing to do. And I remember Stomposaur even said, "I'm not even going to rework the back or front end, and we'll just also give them the free orb." So that's why I believe in the game, if you beat a boss, it'll still say you got a free orb for winning it, and you got a chest. Because we were just like, just give it to the players. It was just one of those things. Like it felt good to be able to give that to people, and that's one of the things that I definitely advocated during my time. There was like make sure that when we're playing the game, players feel good about playing the game. That there is that sense of progression, I guess would be one word for it, but also just like accomplishment, right? You're growing your collection. You're doing this because you enjoy it. You're doing this because it's fun. Or at least to me, it was fun. And there's people who will say their own opinions, but I mean, that was the point towards boss crates becoming free. The other thing that I want to say, like subtly might have been it, was the whole diamond system. That diamond system became one of my biggest headaches for trying to explain things because you look at I don't even remember what the diamonds are now, but I know whenever we tried to fix the diamond packages to match what the ore packages were, they wouldn't line up with some of the crates. And if they did line up with the crates, then someone was being excluded somewhere else. And I know that one of the big clunks in all these gears was also just boss crates. I think at one point we had a package that let you buy, I think it was like 1,000 diamonds, but you couldn't go lower than that or something like that. And so that meant if you wanted to buy a boss crate, you first had to double down on 2 boss crates because you couldn't buy less than 1,000. So people who wanted to be like, I don't mind giving duelists $5, but I don't want to give them 10. We're just like, well, now you're making me buy 2, and what if I didn't want a second boss crate, or I don't get paid that much to drop down $10 at one point? Like, it was just this giant headache, and I think one of the relief points was just that, like, okay, if boss crates are going to be a big headache with the monetary system, just pull them out of the pool. Just give it to people. Let them have fun, right? That after all, at the end of the day, this is a video game. It's a form of entertainment. People should be having fun with the game. If people are complaining about this all the time, it's clearly not working out.
Seems reasonable. That's really cool. I was really surprised when those guys went free. I'm not gonna be able to kill that at the moment. So let's 5 and probably replace the 2. Which sucks because I want to play it. So how do I play this around? I guess we put it down here. Maybe I actually replace the 3 this, just so I can get something else out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I haven't crossed the line or anything. Like, I'm just waiting for tomorrow to be like, so about that stream you did with Silver last night when we have to terminate your contract. Like, oh no. But sound design of the game, I don't know that we have a sound designer. But yeah, I'm speaking
Christ,
of the comfort from my previous experiences, and I'm hoping that I am covering everyone's butt so that no one takes a fall for anything that I may say. But yeah, I don't know. I'm here to talk. Is that an actual value Grovekeeper? I haven't
He-
seen that.
Yeah, he value Grovekeepered my Kron, which I can kill it for free, but I kind of need to take damage. I want to use this Ruby Rifter, but I can't right now, so I think I'm going to have to go 4-2 pass. Let me replace this garbage. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that in Gauntlet. That's amazing.
So let's see. I need to keep this guy safe. He is safe at the moment. Can't really put the Rifter unless I body block. I think I have to go 2 and 4 here, like Jaxie here, Thunderhorn in the back. Although, maybe I need to go Jaxie and Rifter. Yeah, I think I have to do that. Maybe keep the Jaxie here. Then I can't play the Rifter anywhere that he can't just entropic it. I think I have to do it like this.
Have I ever thought of using these sprites? I think I've spoken to our team multiple times that yeah, I think this game could very easily lend itself to other game types, like a roguelike, like an RPG. And I mean, at one point, I think we were stepping towards that. And I don't mean to allude that we are. I'm just saying, when we did Saberspine Cub from Latigris, the Saberspine Tiger, and Saberspine Alpha, I was like, we're doing Pokemon. Like, come on. That's what I felt like. We're starting to do evolutions of previous units. I was like, I want to play Duelist in a new way. So, is that ever going to happen? I have no idea. But it'd be cool. The assets would be easily transferable from a digital card game to something else, right? So, we'll see.
Oh, damn, he had Sandstorm Reader 2 and removal for this? Are you kidding me? Holy crap. Jesus. I'm getting wrecked by the card quality here. I have to clear this thing.
I would say some games are not meant to be.
This
And
would seem
this guy
like
has your
one.
number apparently.
So I can clear this. I guess let's do that. I need a 3-drop, so let's not play Purgatos. Well, maybe I play 4 and 4 here instead of the 6. Let me think about this. So if I punch this and I punch that. Alternatively, I could just Repulsor Beast. That's my only answer. I kind of need to get the pings online. So let's get rid of that. Well, there's that. All right, it's gone. So now let's clear this. Unfortunately, I have to put the Rifter in there. He's gonna be able to just move this up, huh? Well, maybe I could put this here. Yeah, let's do this. I think we're screwed though. I don't want to use I don't want to use Repulsor Beast yet. So he has to have Entropic for this. He absolutely has to have it. Or Dominate. Or, I mean, I suppose he could just Psionic Strike it, but then this lives, right? No, it doesn't. No, because he can pop this and hit it. But then I can, like, I wanted to save the Rifter until I could draw a card off of it. Crawler value. His deck is way better than mine. And it's nice that I got the sand tile off of there, too. God, he's got such amazing card quality. Holy crap.
I'm like waiting for the Blood of Air 2-for-1. Ooh, I don't know.
That's incorrect. It doesn't matter though. All right. Well, it's not over, but it's not looking good. It is definitely not looking. He's got a buff for that. Okay. Yeah. So we definitely have to get GTFO that card. So this will probably be 3 and 6. Actually, 2, 6, and 1, and I'll clear this. So the question is, can I afford to play this defensively? I probably have to, huh? So let's get that over here. Ping this. Draw a card. Not bad. I think I probably need both of these answers, so I'm going to hang on to them. So he played... what was it? It was... What was his first crazy answer card? It was... he Sandstorm Readered into Gust, but he played one before that. I don't even remember what it was. And I imagine he's probably got one Entropic or Kill a Dude in melee. So I'm just going to have to try to draw a bunch of cards. But that Gust is going to get really ugly. Yeah, Diamond Golem. And a ranged or something. So if he goes down to one card, I'm not going to give him credit for wings. Shit. Damn. So let's get rid of this, probably. Oh, I can kill it. That's awesome. All right. So let's Repulsor Beast. I want the Repulsor Beast right on his face, though. But I also need to hit him. So I guess I have to do it like this. Repulsor Beast here. Draw a card. I don't have an end game here. That's the problem. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Let's get this right in his face. Yeah, he'll have to run away from this. All right. Well, so he's gonna want to kill this, but hopefully he has to stay here or run away and not kill this, right? Like, man, this game is gonna be rough. I don't know how I'm gonna get this. I have to get this minion to his face, and I'm probably not gonna be able to do it because by the time I get it there, this thing is gonna be well over here, throwing 2/2s at me. Yeah. Oh wow, if he has to stay here and he doesn't get good spawns, like if these both go back here. All right, I got one good spawn. So I think now he runs because he can't really stay here to kill this, or he dies to this. But like, unless he has Blood of Error or removal for this. If he has removal for this, then we're screwed. Star's Fury does it. Lost as okay, he's running. That's good. That's good. That means I can hit him with this, but I can't necessarily hit with this. So I think I have to lure this and kill it. So I guess we're hitting him. To draw a card. That sucks. I guess I have to lure this. This puts it at... So I can take it down to 6. This will go to 5. I think I have to just hit it with this. Let's smack him in the face here. I'm gonna heal this, I guess. Right. Put the 3/2 here. Ah, that's Bone Swarm. Let's do it like this. Actually, I think I'm healing this. No. Okay. Well, that's all I got. I didn't get the ping off on that. If he has Bone Swarm, we're in trouble. But man, I mean, I'm kind of all in here on this. Thanatos, what card games do you play other than Duelist? Of course he had Bone Swarm. Of course he did.
Lately, I've been playing a lot of Magic the Gathering. I don't know how to say it besides that game flew under my radar for I don't know how many years.
Magic the Gathering did?
Yeah, I never picked it up. And then one of my friends was like, hey, come to Friday Night Magic and they'll give you a free starter deck. And I have now spent way too much money on that game. Oh, dear. So yeah, I've been playing Magic the Gathering. I have a few friends that play Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't really delve into that because I don't want to spend too much into physical card games. And I've been looking at some other ones. I started playing Horus Heresy Legions, which is a Warhammer 40k card game, and I'm looking for a new one called what's it called? It's Warhammer Age of Sigmar Champions, which has not come out yet, but I'm following. And so yeah, that's what I've been doing so far.
So you don't like the physical game, but you like the online game, Magic?
My issue is, I look at a card.
Can't believe I won that game.
That's cheap, right? And so I buy a card, and then I'm like, oh, well, I already played that. I want to buy a new card, and then I spend way too much money. I prefer the free-to-play games where I can at least lie to myself that this is just a one-time $40 investment. But no, really, it is the I have to withhold the urge to buy more cards because I am a hoarder and I want the entire collection. So that's why I prefer the digital variant, because I can at least be like, okay, there's some money mitigation here where I can earn some of the cards for free and I don't have to open my wallet and lose all the contents of it.
Yeah, I know that feeling. Like you're just like, I want to like set all the cards down on the table and build all these really cool decks, and I saw this card being played, and what do you mean I can't have it? I'll just buy it. if you can. Like you just want it so bad, and if you can't afford it or you don't want to pay for it, it's just like it eats at your soul.
Yeah, I have like this wish list of Magic the Gathering cards that I've just been collecting. They're like it's a very, very modest budget list where it's like, okay, literally no cards over $1. And if I were to go online and buy every single card, it would total up to, I think right now the total is like $500. And I'm just like, okay, we're just gonna not buy any cards right now.
Dude. So I used to play Magic the physical card game like back in 3rd edition. So this was when the Power 9 had already been established. They were super expensive at that time. Like I think a Black Lotus at that time was like $300, which was really expensive if you were used to, dollars for cards. So, this was many, many years ago. And some of the out-of-print, whenever you could get your hands on an out-of-print card that was really powerful, it was really awesome. And I remember I had an option to buy a box of Legends. It's like an unopened booster box of the Legends set for, let's see, a box normally costs like a little over $100, was like retail price. And I think I had the option to buy this for like $350 or $400. The box, right? And everybody thought I was insane for considering this. They're like, you're gonna pay, 4 times the amount, 3 to 4 times the amount of that. And I'm like, you can't get these cards anymore. And like, even if you just got a few of the ridiculously powerful Legends cards, like the box would pay for itself because some of those cards were going for like $30 and $40, $50 each, right? So I found a guy online who would sell it. This is before eBay existed, and he was like, "What are you gonna do? Are you just gonna resell it? Are you gonna just put it on a shelf?" And I said, "No, I'm gonna crack open every single pack and just see what's in them, and maybe sell some singles, maybe play with them, put them in sleeves or whatever." And he's like, the guy that I found on the internet was probably 6 hours away from where I was in Texas, and he's like, "If you're gonna open this box and open the cards, I will drive all the way to your location and we'll get pizza. And I just want to see, because I've had this box since it came out. I don't really play, I don't play the game anymore, but I would love to have the experience of opening these massively powerful cards that have just been out of print for so long." And so I did it. I bought pizza. He drove all the way down. We opened the cards together, and we're cracking open these packs, and we're like, "Oh my god, an Elder Dragon! This card's worth $50! No way!" It was just the most amazing experience ever. Oh man, those were the days. You don't get that. You just don't get that with online quite as much,
Yeah.
Didn't
That's
a reprint Lotus sell for 8K still recently? I don't think so. No.
I know they reprinted them for a tournament or something like that. I know you can find there's an updated art that I saw.
They reprinted the Black Lotus, really?
Not for public sale. It was if you were a tournament winner for a legacy tournament or something like that, they made a reprint for that, and it was very, very, very limited set. It's basically who the owners are, kind of thing. It's for winners of a tournament.
Super limited print run, yeah. I still have a Lotus. Let me see if I have it here. I can show it on cam.
How could you?
I do. It's right here. This is actually a legitimate. Let me bring this up.
I'm waiting for the stream to catch up now.
Okay. So here, it's in a sleeve, it's in a plastic hard case, and it's kind of shiny, but you can see it here. This is an actual, legitimate, unlimited, mint Black Lotus that is the only card, the most valuable card that I kept the whole time, and I'm just not going to get rid of it. Just from the old days.
Oh man, I am so jealous. I am so jealous. Just because I'm a rare hunter and I love finding these little unique things, and just seeing this, it's just
I bought that card.
But
I bought that card for $150 when I got it. Back in the days that Unlimited had just gone out of print and they started to get really expensive, and I'm like, this card is too good to not have one in perfect condition, so I bought one. I've just had it the whole time. If someone robs you, you know who did it now. Yeah, there's this big T. There was this big T painted on the side of our house. I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, I'll probably sell it, but the problem with selling a card like that is you have to sell it in person, because there's so many scams on eBay where they're just oh, the card was not as in the condition I expected, and then you have to go through eBay and you can get screwed big time. So if I did ever sell it, I would just sell it directly to a collector. I just got rid of all of my dual lands. I had a playset of 40 dual lands from 3rd edition. I got rid of those recently, and now the most memorable stuff. I still have a whole bunch of old cards, but I have a Mox Pearl and the Lotus are the only ones of amazing note. Probably. I mean, I have a Force Field and a few other really old cards, but as far as ones that people would say, wow, that's an amazing card. EMP is so good, especially against Magmar. Magmar has such a hard time dealing with wait, this is constructed. Okay, but still, that's such a good card.
I thought we were still looking at Gauntlet games.
Well, they're mixes now. People are saying check out this replay, and they're not saying if it's Gauntlet or ranked.
Gotcha.
This is a hell of a Gauntlet hand, though. I will say that. It would be. Tempo Drogon.
Ooh.
I also love collecting rarities and oddballs, but most of all cool-looking cards. I have the Mechanical Chimera set from Visions. It's artful. That's cool. One of the coolest looking Magic cards I had was the... well, man, what was it? What was that card? I mean, my favorite Magic card of all time was Sarah Angel. I just remember really liking that art. And then somebody did a painted, like an updated, just painting version of it, not a card version, but just like a fan art. And it's just beautiful. It's like got this angel, she's got the sword, and the wings are really spread out, and it's just like, it's really nice. Let me see if I can find a picture of that. Sarah Angel painting, maybe?
Maybe look up
Yeah, here it is.
Card Altar.
So I don't know where this image came from, but this is one of my favorite images of Sarah Angel here. Is this from one of the cards, or is this a fan art? I think it's fan art. Does this look like a card to you? Whoops, let me pause the game.
I have to wait for the stream to catch up.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get this zoomed in a bit. Here. Is this from a card, or is this a fan? I don't think I've ever seen this. If this is on a card, I have to have this card.
Confirm that's from foil.
Say that again. It's not Sarah Angel? Yes, it is. This is Greg Staples. Are you guys still snagging? I've been having problems for 3 days now. My snagging went away since this morning. Nick, I don't know. Do you know, Thanatos, if Counterplay did anything to stop all the snagging games that have been happening the last few days?
I honestly would have no clue. I wasn't. You remember, I just started again today.
Yeah. Okay.
Quote,
Yeah,
so.
I didn't. Fate just put a link here. Let's check it out. Yeah. So what is that, Fate? That is what is this a fan art painting, or is this actually, is there a card with this art on it somewhere? Because I haven't seen it.
It looks like Magic 2013 had that art, so it looks like it's the real thing.
Oh, this is a real card?
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. This is the art from MTG. Yeah. Oh, it is on one of the cards. Okay, I need to get this version because this is my favorite version of the art. I mean, the original, like, I fell in love with the original version of this. Just, I like the concept of this Valkyrie angel creature, which is really cool. And then this is the best version of it that I've seen. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, I'll need to go dig up that card. I'll have to get a copy of that one. I'm sure I can buy it since it's fairly recent. That's the original art. Yeah, the original is the one that Commuter Zombie linked. That's the one that I first saw. Not to be too much of a pessimist, but Valve is going to drop Artifact this November.
Oh yeah, there's so. All right, so we already have ran this bout. Duelist, when the beta first kind of went alive for, I guess it's just open beta, had this lovely little monopoly of, it was just us and Hearthstone. All the other card games had not come out at the time. So yeah, Artifact's coming out. We've already seen Gwent come out. We've seen Shardbound Rise and Fall, unfortunately. There's so many other card games now on the market that another card game coming up is just, the way I like to view it, more ways for us to expand and improve this game genre. Hearthstone may have been the first to really monopolize on it because games like Magic were not incredibly user-friendly and very, very UI intensive to work on. But now we're at an opportunity where there's so many card games out there that everyone who makes a new feature, everyone who makes a new idea, a new mode, is something that all of us as an industry can learn from and try to improve upon. So I'd say I just really look at it as a good thing. Yeah, I mean, is it more competition? Sure, but I like to view it as a gamer. I think it's really cool that we're getting more card games because it just means for all card designers, for all game developers, this entire industry, it just means more growth. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, and if you think about it, there's a lot of card games that have come out since Duelist. There's Eternal, there's Feria. There's a lot of games that have come out since Duelist, but really, I still consider Duelist industry leading in so many features, like the stream integration, the replay feature, like the replay feature is just the bomb with this game. I love being able to go through replays when friends are offline. Like I can consume content in a single player way with Duelist, whether or not my friends are online. There could be 0 people in the entire world playing Duelist, and I can still watch Duelist games, and I love that. And why, God, why has no other game done that? Like, it's just, it seems like such a no-brainer. But, like, do you know any other games, Thanatos, that have done that? That have done the replay, the offline replay feature?
No,
Like, half of them don't even have spectate, let alone replay.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, I haven't watched Hearthstone recently. I'm like, I don't think they even have a true spectator mode.
They do.
either.
They have a live spectate, yeah, but they don't have offline.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying like a tournament view or anything like that. I mean, we don't have one either, but yeah, it's just I don't know. I can't think of anything like that, but that was one of the advantages we did have with the way this game was coded, was being able to do live replay, or not replay, live replays, just offline replays. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, when I said industry leading, I did say Faria after, but you're right, Faria was before Duelist. But when I said industry leading, I meant in features. Did he just play that into Warbird? Oh no, he Heart Sistered. Okay. How can any Fey constructed player play into Warbird? That just doesn't happen. Pox had live spectate years ago, but not replays. Yeah, I mean, I honestly had not seen that feature in a game until I saw it in Duelist, and then I was just like, why has this not been in every single card game? And Hearthstone still hasn't added it. Like, they've had so much time to add that feature, and evidently it's just they've felt like other features were more important. But man, God, that feature was so good. Everyone's grammar is bad on the internet. Notice he said everyone without the apostrophe S. Showing us how it's done there, Britt. Let's see. I Dagona'd my own minion to force him to take 5 to remove it. Yeah, Dagona on your own minion is actually... Like, if you know they have to remove the Dagona, you know, like, do using it on your own minion to get it back. I've probably only done that once in Gauntlet ever. And, you know, you do it to... There's a couple reasons why you might, but it's an interesting play a lot of people don't always think of. I wanted to get a spectate of a game that wasn't Wanderer, but of course I picked the Wanderer game. What do you think about Wanderer? Have you heard any musings of balance and people talking about the amount of Wanderer games in the decks in the meta right now?
How do I put this? Have I heard of musings? No. I unfortunately stepped out before any of that. I can tell you that internally there was many variations of Wanderer before this version stuck, many of which were far more present than what we're seeing currently.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think Magmar Wanderer is the most popular, right?
Yeah, the ramp to Wanderer is what I think pushes that out of bounds, right? Where you're expecting it to play it on 6 mana or higher, and when you get it earlier, that's kind of like, oh, bum. But I don't know. I can't say much about it. I find it amusing, and I say I find it amusing because I've recently started playing a lot of Commander in Magic. So I like the idea of singleton decks. Is it fun in Duelist? Everyone has their own opinion, right? I remember when we first previewed Wander, there was a community member going like -1 out of 5 actively makes your deck worse, and then look what we got for discussions today, right? Where people are just like, so when's the nerf coming? It's like, well, you know, I don't know. As I mentioned before, I can't attest too much to balance decisions or thoughts and stuff. Like from my perspective as a gold player, like if I speak as a player, as a gold player, I'd say it's strong. I don't think it's as strong as people would say that it's like it's the end all be all. But I also haven't played the game in a couple months, so.
Sure.
Where's Songhai going to hit a zero custom? So, lollies. I haven't. I guess let me preface this. I was the community manager for Duelist. I stepped away from Duelist a few months ago, and I'm coming back as the community manager for Counterplay Games. So I haven't been on the bandwagon or know what's going on with Duelist currently, so I cannot answer that question. I do not know.
I don't mind Wanderer. It's often interesting to play a Wanderer deck, and I've always had a soft spot for Highlander decks. Me too. I mean, I think it goes to my love of the dynamic gameplay that comes out of draft and gauntlet games, because a Highlander deck is, or a, a one-of deck is very close to a gauntlet deck in the way that you never really know what's going to be in there. There's a lot of variations. Nobody runs the same exact list, well, until the game gets super popular. I mean,
Yes.
until deck lists become, net decks become a huge thing with Duelists, which they aren't right now. It's one of the other great features of the game. But until then, and you never know what you're going to draw. Each game is different, very different, because, you might not see the same card more than once in 5 or 10 games, which is really cool. So I like these decks a lot. And Wanderer would be my preferred style also. I used to like the Reno decks and Hearthstone, and now they've got like odd and even decks that are really cool. I don't know if you've seen those, Thanatos.
Yeah. I watch my fair share of Kriparian. That's how I keep up with Hearthstone.
Crypt, yeah.
So, like, I guess to answer a certain someone in our chat about me being biased, yeah. I don't create cards for the game, and there's a good reason I don't create cards for the games, because I do have a sense of bias for what I think is fun. If I had my hands, if I had like my nails dug deep into Duelist, you would not be playing the same game, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people would not be enjoying what I would have made out of this. So I'm actually very glad that I don't actively work on game development for this, because my idea of fun, I know, is very different from other people's ideas of fun. And that's actually something I want to say that I am very proud of. Our development team is very well aware of that, and they try to provide fun for everyone. Does it always succeed? I mean, there's some hit and misses. I say that, like, for example, Battle Pets. Battle Pets is a very touchy subject back in the day, and it still kind of is today.
Mm-hmm.
But it was done in a time where Duelist was still very experimental, and we were trying to see, hey, how would AI work in a card game? We found out not very well if you don't give it a lot of flexibility and a lot of issuable commands. So we never touched Battle Pets again, basically. But that was just to see. I'm like, hey, if you give the players the option to say, do you want more synergy or strength, but you lose control, is that something that's appealing to players? The answer now is not really, especially not if the power behind the card makes it mandatory to play like Ooze, right? Ooze is one of those cards that's like, yes, people will play Ooze, but that's because it's a stupid strong card and not because it's a fun card.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, we learned that. I'm not gonna do that again. So Highlander decks, my opinion, I think they're cool because they fulfill the brewer's fantasy, right? Where you as the deck builder can sit down and put your favorite pieces to problem solving into the deck. And your solution to making that perfect Wanderer deck is not the same thing as your neighbor's. So I like that aspect of it. And I guess that's really all I can really say about Wanderer to that point. Because then after that, it's everything else I would be saying about Wanderer is there's people that are definitely more qualified to talk about it than I am, right? Like, what the health of the game? What about what it means for actual deck building? Or how about competitive play? Okay, I'm out of my league there. I'm going to step down and be like, okay, my opinion is I think it's cool. Not everyone's going to share that idea. So.
Yep. Mechazor with Decimus Spikes. I used to love playing Mechazor decks back in the day, man. Oh, wow. It was... And everybody thought they were face roll, but they really weren't. Like, you had to be very familiar with your opponent's answer for Mechazor and play super hard around that, because many decks only had one answer back when it was untargetable. Like they had to pony it or chain a silence into it, or you just didn't see, like, Grovekeeper was never not Grovekeeper, Crossbones was never really in the meta. And everybody was just like, God, how do we deal with this? And then everybody who played Mechazor was like, put Crossbones in your deck, and it just never happened.
That is something I do miss of the two draw card days, because it was very reasonable to be like, okay, I will put 8 Crossbones into my deck, and if the first set of mechs, I'm going to start hard replacing the Crossbones and probably find it. And I thought that was a real enjoyable thing.
Yeah. Which is why when you see a Crossbones in Gauntlet, you take it. You pretty much always take it, although it can be up against some really... It depends what faction you are and what other kinds of removal you have. But if you're Vitruvian, 100% you take it. Unless it's up against Sandstorm Reader, and then you have to take the Sandstorm Reader. But, man, having a Bones in Gauntlet is almost always a good thing. Because there's so many games that just end because they stuck a little ranged minion in the back and it chews up your whole board. And it takes you like 5 turns to get over there to it. So having Crossbones is always good. Isn't that the way you're supposed to play Silver? What's that? Lizelle? When everyone just net decks the #1 deck. Well, Duelist has always had the unique property that you really could brew up almost any deck that's solid, and even if it's your own creation. And like, I'm not the best deck builder in the world. I would consider myself a strong deck tweaker, like optimizer, and of course I mainly specialize in draft anyways. Which is why I don't play constructed, because I'm not the best deck builder. I don't really enjoy deck building the same way that a lot of other people do. I'd rather draft. But I did construct some of my own decks and get to S rank with them in Duelist, and I cannot say that about Hearthstone. Like, if I got to Legend with a Hearthstone deck, it was a net deck that I optimized or just ripped, because there's only a handful of decks that can do that in Hearthstone, but Duelist, like, it's so great that so many different decks can do well. And, I don't know if that's just because, of the pool of players and their different play skills, and maybe it was... But, Hisuku goes from 0 to hero... every season. So, like, it's not just that, oh, well, that was when people in beta, when people didn't know how to play. Hisuku still does it. Like, he starts with a faction, and with every general, he can get there. So I think that's really cool. Like, how many other games can do that? I remember Trump tried to do that in Hearthstone. He tried to take a basic deck to Legend and prove that he could get there and do it because he was such a good player, and he couldn't do it. He got close, but he never actually did it. Thanatos just has like 10 T-face wave macros bounders.
No, I've typed that enough that it's just second nature to me now to do that.
Doesn't help the top deck isn't fun to play against. Yeah. It sucks. It sucks when like the meta winner is a deck that nobody enjoys playing with or against, right? And that's tough. That's when the balanced popo have to get in there and do their job. Oh man, that clear though. Argent has a Maha, this is over. Provoke jail! Nice on the Maw sound there. That was good. Fate says do their job. Lol. Fate, you're turning into a grumpy old man there. Where's the happy, bright fate that we all know and love, man. Did he really just get rid of that repulsor beast? I guess he doesn't need it and he wants to jam the wow, he wants to provoke jail him. I see your provoke jail and I raise you a 215.
It's a pretty big provoker. You need what, I think only an Onyx Bear Shield gets rid of that right now for him.
Bear Seal, Bamboozle,
Bamboozle.
and let's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
and like Zenrui would be nice. It's probably the best target possible for it, besides maybe Bone Reaper. Oh, that's so nice. The Afterblaze on a Zeal minion is glorious. Is he gonna chew? Wow, he's gonna just straight up 7 to the face. This Songhai player is not getting out of that jail. There's no way. This is over. He's got 5 cards though, but how does he get out of that without an EMP? What's up, Alexicon? Long time no see, man. How you been? You still hanging around, Lexicon? Did he inner focus that? Holy, oh my god. You needed to kill the 7/3 with that. Yeah, like that was the one that's gonna kill you next turn, not the 4 attack one. Oh man. I guess either one.
Yeah, he's got.
Yeah. I'm a serial lurker, to be honest. Okay, all right. Let's watch this Velociraptor game against Crusal. These are good. These are both top gauntlet players here. And the next CPG stuff. Super pumped for Epyrion and the next CPG stuffs. Well, that was a great pick on that game to spectate. Let's try another one. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I didn't even know. Like, I'm hosting Thanatos on the stream, and I did not even know until the middle of the stream that Thanatos was back at CPG. Like, that was a secret. Like, you kept that one quite close to the chest there. Well played, sir.
Yoshi Gamers, I cannot confirm or deny that because I'm only 1 day back on the job. So.
CPG said there will be new content in Q4. New game, I think. Yeah.
Oh, it was, so I guess we got stuff to look forward towards the end of the year. That would make sense.
New content in Q4. I did not see Counterplay say that new content coming in Q4. If you could link that, that would be great, because I don't remember that. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I missed it. So that would be nice. New splash screen. Yeah, that's the content. Well, we changed our loading screen. We added 2 more tips. Don't say we never did nothing for you. Did he just Inkhorn gaze that without the kill? That's really weird. Nobody calls him a fizzle and gets away with it. Oh man, it is so awkward to play against Brome when he does this this animation lock. It's so funny. It's like the end of a movie where he's like, "Yeah!" and it freezes on him and the credits roll.
Nobody calls me a fizzle and gets away with it.
I love that fizzle sound
Except
effect.
that one guy who called me a fizzle and then ran off. He got away with it.
Blue Conjurer is... Hey, look at that. Did you guys notice that this piece of art here is in front of the minions? I never noticed that before. That Blue Conjurer is behind this piece of art here. How cool would it be if this parallaxed? Like if this had an animation to it, this background piece. Imagine World Core, like a Xenoblade Chronicles size. What, 25/25 isn't big enough? Sick layers. So, do you know, Thanatos, if anybody from Counterplay is going to PAX this year? I know you're not going, but anybody else?
I actually have no idea. I think the most active mover of all of us would probably be JuVD.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he attends the most events, so if there's anyone, it probably would be him. But I don't know if he'd be going. I think he'd be doing it for pleasure, like going out there just to see what the games are and chatting up with people. And the guy is a networking master, so it might be even like a miniature business front, but it wouldn't be as we're going there as Counterplay Games to represent a game or anything like that. I doubt that would be the case. At least there's nothing for us to really go and show right now. Especially if the news is to be true that we have stuff coming out Q4, then yeah, there's not really much for us to show currently.
Yeah. I mean, it costs money for developers to attend those shows, and it just wouldn't. Yeah, I mean, it would. I was mainly asking if anybody was going there on their own dime for fun, just to network.
I would assume Juvie, out of all of us, would probably be the person to go there.
Yeah. I'll have to see if Juvie's gonna be there. I don't know if I have Juvie's contact info. Is he on the Discord? He's on Discord, right?
Yeah, he should be on their Discord.
Yeah. Okay, I'll check. Ugh.
That's a very sad keeper.
Man. This is a gauntlet deck, and that is a hell of a draft by Permanent. Man. That was pretty good. I want to see another game with that deck. Let's see if he's got any more games with it here. Brome. Oh, he lost to Croissant with it. Woo! Let's check that out. Quick question. Where do we go for tournaments now? I've been out for a while for Thanatos.
Yeah, that's a pretty good question that I'm really not sure to answer myself. I believe we're still in good terms with Battlefy. I don't think that we're hosting prizes for it right now. I'm actually not sure. That's definitely a better question for Stormshade, but I think it's Battlefy.
Were you Thanatos? You were still around when we did the Gauntlet tournament, right? With me and Tactical. Were you around when we did that?
I'm not sure.
Does that ring a bell? A Gauntlet tournament?
I remember one that you guys were planning for quite a while. I don't know if it was there.
So we ran one. We ran two of them. One of them was, I mean, the first one was really awesome. Hasuku finished first place with a Brome, like a ranged Brome deck, and I can't remember who he was in the finals, but the finals match was so like, it was so tense, and you were on the edge of your seat. It was such an amazing match, and it was a lot of fun. So the way that we verified it is that you had to record, like Tactical had to watch on a screen share. Like, this is not sustainable long term. There needs to be a better way to do this, but like Tactical watched everybody draft their decks to make sure there was no cheating and there was no like resigning and getting a better deck. So every deck was 100% legit and fair. I have a theory on how to do it without that, like technically, so he doesn't have to do that in the future, but it's kind of a pain, and it was only, we'll probably do that if we do another tournament. But it was a good tournament, and it was a lot of fun. I had fun casting it. I know Tactical did too, but it was a lot of work. Used to run community tournaments. Coming up with that system was so complicated. We spent ages doing it. Yeah, Lexicon, you remember that, right? The Gauntlet Throwdown. Yeah, that was one of the better, well, I say one of the better tournaments just because I love Gauntlet so much. But there were several good tournaments, but that one, the production value was good too because Tactical was running it. And Tactical, like, if you've seen any of his videos, he is a high production value kind of guy. So like all of the content he makes is done really well. So when he did the tournament, like the overlays were really slick, and he even put these little touches in there, like, so who do you think is going to win? Let's talk about this matchup. And he would have the deck side by side, and then I would put my vote, and he would put my face over to the side, and then his face would go over to the same side or the other side if he disagreed. Like, he had all these really sweet little touches to the production of the tournament, which was really nice. Slightly related question: didn't Duelist have color codes for decks when checking replays? Yeah, they so you can assign a color to a constructed deck in Duelist, and you can use those. But when you draft a Gauntlet deck, nobody expects the Spanish Warbird. The colors don't help you validate the authenticity of a Gauntlet deck. There's Cliffy with Provoke Jail. Tactical is great at making content, yeah. I identify as a Phoenix Fire. Really? Alright, there's one for you, Thanatos. If you were to identify as any card... Oh my god, he had Avalanche. That was a wrecking. If you could identify as any card, Thanatos, and it has to be a... No restrictions. Any card, what would it be?
As much as I want to say Soulthar Elder, I definitely feel more War Talon. Definitely feel more War Talon.
You're gonna go with War Talon.
Oh yeah.
So what about War Talon? Just the big giant, and is there something about Frenzy we need to know? Like
it everything together, and then Frenzy, I was everywhere once.
Okay.
There you go. I felt like that's how I handled the community. Was just I pulled it all in, and I was there, just everywhere. Boom. I really liked that kind of thing when I saw War Talon. Was just like, man, this guy's all about like all or nothing. Like you're around me, you're around me. So. Plus, he's a really big dude, and I really like big dudes. Like that's why I loved Magmar when I first started playing. Was just like giant swole creatures. I'm like, that's gonna hurt you. It's gonna be a big thing that's gonna hit you in the face.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do with that?
So not World Core though. Like World Core now.
No. World Core's a little bland. You know, I like my War Talon.
Okay.
War Talon.
All right, fair enough.
Because when it comes to World Core's just like you got an answer for this or you dead, right? Like that's very very to the point where War Talon's just like let's play a little bit. Like you can play the ball here. You know, there's a little bit of interaction going on. Like it's fair. It feels unfair, but it's fair. Or just like if it's gonna connect with your face, there's not really. It's a very binary card in that point. Like you remove it, or you lost. So I don't know. That's my thinking, I guess.
Emberworm is kind of like that in Gauntlet. It's an answer or die card too. But World Core, like you can throw down in front, like you can play aggressively. Emberworm, you kind of have to babysit at least for one turn. Whereas, yeah, World Core, you just throw it down there and you're like, I don't care if you have 3 dudes. Are you really gonna chew off 25 health? I don't think so. I would be a World Core. Okay, there you go. Lisel just goes right for it. This mag draft seems busted. Yeah, this does. This is Permanent Band's deck. He usually gets good decks too. He's still playing. This Gauntlet deck is actually still in play. Just looking at a couple of games. He's got Extinction Event in it. I kind of want to see that go off. There was I think Marrakesh, one of the Gauntlet players I like to spectate, had Extinction Event, and we got to watch like 2 or 3 games of that card going off. It was great. Wait a minute. I just watched this game. We just watched this game, didn't we? Yeah. I like to think I'm Venom Toth. What does that mean? Does that mean like you're gonna have to explain that one. I don't want to assume. Cole, you said you had a game and it was against the last game I played. Okay, Kibbles. Let's check it out. Venom Toth. Just like everybody who comes at me, I just smack them in the face. Like what is that? So do you play any board games, Thanatos?
I used to play HeroScape. I had a buddy who had collected almost every single set, and we played that.
What about like non-collectible, just like, you know, board games like Settlers of Catan or you know.
I mean, I play chess.
Oh, you play chess.
Rarely, but
Did you say barely?
rarely.
Oh, rarely.
I don't. My social circles don't give me a lot of opportunities to play that, so don't really play too much chess.
I started to play chess and I enjoy chess, and there is a day that is coming probably in the next 10 years that I will design a chess game for Microsoft. But I realized that in order to be like as good as I want to be at chess, I would have to do so much memorization of the openers. And that one piece of the game is like the part I like least, because you need an encyclopedic knowledge of the openers to be super competitive, right? Would you agree with that, Thanatos?
Super competitive, yeah. I would say you definitely need a very intimate knowledge of. You would need to be almost a computer to map out all the proper responses and what could happen to even play it. And then to me that becomes kind of a you could lose on your second turn by moving incorrectly type of game.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of the cascading events of, okay, well, I played this here, and because I improperly placed it in response to this, they'll do this, and it plays and that being said, I don't know that much, but I don't play it because my social circles are, if I try playing it, I am the clear and obvious winner, and then they don't want to play anymore. So, yeah, I don't really play board games because of that. People do not enjoy losing, and I don't blame them. I don't blame them.
Yeah. If they get too competitive. Double puppy. You don't see double puppy all that often. That's going to be really interesting to see how this goes. Yeah, my wife does not like board games specifically because of the competitive factor. Like any mechanic where, you know, screw the other player, take a card, like you have to discard half your hand, like any of those kind of mechanics in games, and she just gets like visibly upset. And so like I've had to alter some of the games I really enjoy playing, like with house rules, to kind of like curb that aspect and still make them fun and balanced, which has been a challenge. But if any of you guys know Settlers of Catan, have you ever played that, Thanatos?
I have not. I've heard about it, but I've never played it.
So games last about 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. It's nice and quick if you know how to play, and you basically put these pieces on a little board, and then you roll dice, and depending on where your pieces were, you'll pick up resources and stuff. So you want to try to position your pieces strategically and things like that. But if a 7 is rolled, which is the most probable number with a set of 2 dice, a bad thing happens, and usually one person gets to screw another person. Whoever rolled the 7 gets to screw another person, sort of in place of getting resources for themselves. And I had to turn that into... So we made a house rule where whenever anybody rolled a 7, if instead of screwing another person, you take this option to help yourself just a little bit, not much, just a little bit, instead of screwing another person, then you get a really kind of nice benefit. And it works sometimes, especially in the early game. And so she'll play because of that option. But man, it's tough because so many board games have a screw you factor to them. And right, people don't like losing, so my wife is like the personification.
I can share a similar story. So, like I mentioned earlier, I've been playing a lot of Magic, and my group of friends, we've decided, no one gets to play blue because nothing good comes out of blue. And so we started playing. I don't know if you've heard of the set, the Arch Enemy set.
Have not.
Okay, so the idea that is someone role plays as Nicol Bolas, which is one of the Planeswalker dragons,
Yeah, I remember that.
and so it's 3 against 1, but the lone player gets a set of scheme cards. So it really is the feeling of one super almighty dragon and then 3 other players trying to cooperatively take it down. We've had to do a lot of different house rules to try to make it fair for everyone to have fun, because it quickly evolves into this like, okay, well, the arch enemy just flat out consumed one player, and then because now it's a 2v1, he's gonna go take down the next person, the next person, the next person. It's just like, oh, okay. Let's trim the rules, make it easier on the players, and then the next person plays the arch enemy, and they're like, okay, now they got completely slaughtered by the 3 players, and you just sit there and you're like, how do you make this fun for everyone? Ooh,
Man.
not easy.
Yeah.
Not easy.
So who came up with the house rules?
I sit down and I go and read Reddit and figure out what other people have been doing with arch enemy sets. And so, like, one of the things we did was the original rules was every single turn the arch enemy picks up a scheme card. And one of the things that I read was someone suggested, like, well, why don't you make it a choice, right? You draw 3 and then have someone pick one for you, so that it's not a super consistent or super random, and it gives a little bit more player authority to what's going on. And then the other things we tried doing was, like I said, so no one gets blue, we had to change up some of the decks that the set came with. So Nicol Bolas is a Grisic deck, which means it's got black, red, and blue. And we're like, okay, we'll leave the blue land so you can play your cards, because obviously you want to take out the giant elder dragon at some point. But no counter spells, no draws, no tutors, none of the cancel shenanigans. You're like, we're gonna let people play the game. You're gonna let things land on the board. You're gonna let people hit you in the face. It's going to happen. So that's stuff we had to do. And then we had to do the other stuff too, which was, okay, well, now you can't stack up on red cards and just melt people in the face without dealing with their board either. So, okay, get rid of all the burn spells. And it becomes its own little mini game of like, who's abusing game mechanics that weren't supposed to be there. Make sure to play fair and shake your finger at whoever's doing something wrong.
Puppy down.
Like, baby the group a little bit and be like, come on guys, we're all trying to enjoy our time with each other here, not go at each other's throat after someone's lifestyle hits 0.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Nice. Man, that rip. So first of all, I think it was probably a mistake for that Magmar player to not throw that 7 damage at the general here. But it didn't matter because Cole 52 ripped Demonic Lure off the top. So that was his only, he was all in on that Rogue Warden. Pride 10. Hey, Zintruchers, thanks for the cheer. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Glad to have you. This has actually been a really fun stream. This has been more entertaining than my usual nights. Thanks for being here tonight, Thanatos. We got about 6 minutes left. So
oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Time has flown. Like, you've been up for, is it like 4 a.m. where you are, right? Holy crap.
It's about to be 5, as I just noticed.
Yeah, it's about to be 5. Wow.
No,
so
I've had a blast here, and I feel kind of sad that I couldn't do this before, but like under the obligations of like as a developer, there's not a lot of things we're not allowed to express or talk about. Because it's like, well, is that an endangerment to the project in the future, that kind of stuff. But I would gladly do this again if I could.
Yeah, for sure. I want to spectate this live. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's been going. I've had a great time having you here too. It's been really awesome, and and thanks everybody in chat for hanging out too, geeking out here. Sorry, I only played a couple games myself, just because I'm trying to, listen to Thanatos' answers and read the chat, and like he says, doing that and playing is really tough. So I'm just sort of letting games run in the background and like half paying attention to them, except to call out like memes or interesting things. But if you guys have any more questions for Thanatos, like, get them out now. Like, this is your last chance for a while until we do this again. So ask the hard stuff. Come on, man. Don't let him off easy. Give him some, make him sweat it out a little bit.
We already had some. I'm just like wrapping around, like, oh man, I don't want to wake up tomorrow and see some angry messages in my inbox.
Like, I'm trying to remember what was the most, like, emotionally charged community issue that you had to deal with during the beginnings of Duelist when you were, like, you know, really active. I'm trying to remember one of them. Like, I know one of them and I can't think of what it is. It's in my head. You'll probably know what it is. Like, was it Circulus? No, it wasn't Circulus.
I can tell you two moments that I definitely are very vivid in my imagination that I did not want to talk to the community at all.
All right,
about.
go for it.
So, the easiest one for me to talk about, because I've already taken ownership about it and I've already talked about it, and it seems people are not happy but complacent, is definitely mobile, right? That was not a happy time, but that happened. The biggest for me, because this was when I was still very, very junior, and I don't feel like I handled that particularly well. Was the poor handling of information regarding orbs and their drop rates when shims are first dropped.
Oh, I think because the rarity was tweaked from the initial set, right?
Right. So it wasn't. How do I put this? Internally, people knew. I was not aware, and this was not communicated. I don't want to say at all, but it wasn't communicated well, and it wasn't communicated appropriately, right? So it became public knowledge that the core set has a higher drop rate because that's the set we want new players to focus on, and that should be the set where everyone should start the foundation for the duelist career, right? So that became public knowledge. Now, when Shimzar first came out, everyone thought we nerfed the drop rates, and no, what was improperly communicated was no. This is the regular drop rates for expansions. This is the actual drop rates, and core just has a bonus. That didn't sound well. That didn't read well. That wasn't ever explained beforehand. That was another issue, right? That was said after the fact. So people thought, like, oh, you're just making this up. It's like, okay, complete screw up because the communication lines weren't very well, and I had not been aware of this, and so this happened, and it went live, and no one said anything. It was just this giant headache, and we had like this emergency meeting, like how we tell the players, what do we do to communicate with people? And for me, that is forever my biggest, like, oh, facepalm, failed fish, don't want to talk about it, because it felt bad. It just felt bad to have that happen, even though like today, now it's like understood. That moment was my, like, I don't feel fit to do this job type of thing.
Yeah, that's tough. That is tough. Neither of those were the ones that I was remembering. God, I could swear there was some other ones, but I mean about card. I'm thinking mainly about like card balance issues and stuff.
Oh, the worst card balancing issues we've had. I think the biggest offender would have to be Meltdown.
Yeah, I think it was probably Meltdown. Like, that showed up in every... Well, Kron was pretty tough, too, in his original stat line. Like, everybody had 3 of those in the deck, right? God, man, I thought Crusal's deck was good, and then Bob showed up with, like, all those answers. Holy crap.
Yeah, no, Kron was a big one. I remember we even had our buddies at PC Gamer write an article about when we actually did nerf Kron, which was like a chuckle for us. We're like, wow, you really didn't like the card either, huh? But I don't think the outrage for Kron was as big as the complaints, the personal complaints we got from tournament players about Meltdown.
Right.
That, I remember that lasting much longer.
Oh, wait. I remember like original Third Wish was pretty busted, right? It was
The
it
plus
was
three
give
to three different targets.
it was no it was oh was there one before that? There was the give 3/3 and blast to any minion. So you'd play Tiger Third Wish and you have a rush blast 6 attack thing.
I'm just gonna drop that into your stream real quick. Yeah, laser cats.
Yeah, laser
that's
cats.
a nightmare. I still have PTSD about that. I've saved a YouTube video which I just linked in chat, which was absolutely nightmarish. Because it was that was one where just like, see, that was weird. It was a horrible meta. No one enjoyed it, but because you lost on turn 1 or turn 2, people were just like, "Oh god, just go to the next game," or like, "Okay, they won with that deck, they can't use it again," and then they'll pass for it. Which to me was like, I was infinitely more frustrated with that than I would have been playing an entire game and Meltdown hit me in the face. But I mean, to each their own. People definitely complained more about Meltdown than they did Laser Wish.
Yeah. Okay, so last question, and then I got to end the stream, which is from Arg My Wallet, who says, Thanatos, what do you think of Stormshade's heavier policy on forum moderation?
Okay, so this is gonna be the weird like political correctness thing that I have to go into. Bandai Namco is a bigger company. They have a lot more reasons to be uptight about things than a smaller company like Counterplay. While I was working with Bandai, remember we operated under the assumption that there was no changes, so I was able to operate under the guise that I was still talking on behalf of CPG, and I was, which meant there was a lot more lax forum friendly, me going in there and chatting up and just having fun casual times, right? But Stormshade has to protect Bandai, and Bandai's trying to protect him as well, right? There's a lot of legal stuff that they may be afraid of, and they do have lawyers that do counsel them. So if they're being very uptight on forum moderation, realize that the forums is an official platform of Duelist, which is an official platform of Bandai. So they're just covering their butts, and that's what they're doing. And it sucks, but that's probably what's happening there. Is they're just making sure that they are not liable for any type of issues or any type of thing. That's just it, right? So it sucks, but that's what they got to do.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I mean, the bigger the company, the harder you fall, the more you have to worry about getting sued. Like, there are a lot of feature ideas and suggestions that I've had that have had to just, go into the void of never ever will this happen at Microsoft, because you can imagine a company as big as Microsoft has a huge target on its head whenever there's anything offensive or anything questionable. Like, you just have to be so straight up and straight and narrow with all your handlings and policies and things. So it's tough.
Yeah,
it's tough. When you're an indie company, you can get away with a lot of those, things, and hot coffee, and like you can do crazy stuff. But once you get big, you just can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing to note is, maybe the forums are uptight, but always remember that there's plenty of other, what I'd say, freelance platforms you can use. There's a reason that when I became an employee, I stepped down of the Reddit, was to make that a free speech platform, so that you guys can have a place to talk about whatever you want. And those places have good volunteer moderators that are out there to make sure that the content is clean, but you're able to say, you still have the freedom without having to be like, I'm going to heavily censor and edit this to make sure it falls under company compliance codes, right? Can't do that with the forums if it's actually owned by the company, but a free speech platform like Reddit, have at it, right? They're not responsible for that area anymore. Like, they're not responsible for the Discord. You can go in there and have fun. There's like an anime section in there now. Like, there's tons of other places that if you want to express your opinions, your thoughts, and have fun at, you can do that. If Stormshade feels like he needs to be very protective about the forums, please understand that he's just covering his butt to make sure that nothing gets out of hand. So
yeah, nobody likes getting sued or having a formal public complaint filed against your whole company. Like, it's ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, guys. Well, we have come to the end of our time. So we only got a little bit of Gauntlet in today, but we had much more fun that Thanatos was here, so that was awesome. And I will be back tomorrow at normal time. 11 p.m. Just playing more Gauntlet. If you guys want to come, that's cool. And if you guys are only here for Thanatos, then screw you! No, it's fine. That's all fine. Hey, feel free to do that. We'll do another Thanatos and chill night for sure sometime in the future. So, you have any final words, Thanatos, before we head out?
Thanks for inviting me. I think this was an awesome idea. I'm super glad to be able to talk to everyone. It's been great. And thanks for having me.
Yeah.
So.
All right, guys. Let me see if there's anybody else at least playing Duelist so I can host somebody. You guys can keep the Duelist action going. Maybe Tuna. Oh, it looks like maybe there's some peeps playing. I don't know any of these people. I don't like new... Oh, it's a new player, Hearthstone legend. Okay, so he must be good. He came from Hearthstone as a legend. So I'm gonna blind host him, and hopefully it's doesn't wreck your experience. Vegalicious. Hopefully he's good. Give him some love. Say hi for me, and I'll catch you guys next time. Until then, peace.